I deleted every single item in my Destiny 2 vault, and I've been playing this game for like 7 years. This isn't clickbait or one of those vault roasting or vault cleaning live commentaries. This is basically a documentary, and I actually did this, which is a pretty strange thing to do in a game that is all about collecting things. But after playing Destiny for thousands upon thousands of hours and accumulating like every item I could ever want, I'll try to explain myself. What I can tell you is this: I poured my heart and soul out for this one, and it took an ungodly amount of time and energy to make this. The entire video is edited, and it's not like one long live commentary, and there's nothing wrong with those videos. I just want you to know how much effort actually went into every minute of this thing. If you want to watch parts of it, that's fine. Or if you want to watch part now and come back to it later, that works too. Or if you want to watch the whole thing in one sitting, go for it. I think you'll like it, whatever you do. And if you don't want to watch any of it, you're wrong.
Love you, gamers.
All right, let's get started. I started playing Destiny back in like 2015. I had a crappy old PS4 and I bought Destiny 1 plus the Taken King expansion on a disc from GameStop. I had a few friends from high school who were really into Destiny and I wanted to play with them, and it looked kind of cool. As it turned out, Destiny ended up being a major part of some formative years for me and my friends. Adventuring throughout a vast galaxy, collecting mysterious alien treasures, and solving puzzles together made for some seriously delightful memories. Which is really cool that these very real and beautiful feelings and memories can be formed in a video game, which some people would say is a waste of time and not real if you're doing it in a game, but I could not disagree more with that. The sentiment and power of those memories of spending time together and doing something cool and fun is just as real and as important as it would be if we went to a movie together or ate some food or went on a hike or something. Those things are equally as awesome too, and we did plenty of those things as well, but that's the whole point. However you're spending your time and forming memories together with important people to you is valid and wonderful, whether you're doing that in person or online. What matters is that you're spending your time in the way you want and you're having fun with it. But not all of my memories with Destiny are positive, like grinding for an eternity for the weapon I wanted, not having fun, and never getting exactly what I wanted because I didn't get lucky enough. That sucks. Or just in general encountering various members of the PvP community with some really trash takes on what is and isn't okay to have fun with in PvP, which is just ridiculously silly. But some of these memories are a hybrid of bad and good too. Like if I was having a bad mental health day, I could just log onto the PS4, put on Luna's Howl and Dustrock Blues and just grind the entire day in comp and get to legend rank and get my Not Forgotten. Which is something I did one day. And by doing this, I could feel a lot better about myself because my emotions were tied to my performance. And that works. That's an option for taking control. In a way. Only issue is, if you're playing Destiny PvP, there are many things that aren't in your control. What if we got triple collided right there? Yeah, or that. Wow, well, I guess that, Or on the flip side, some of these memories are truly positive. Like maybe I was having a good day and I could join my high school friends for a last wish run and have a grand old time goofing around, getting cool raid loot, and sharing old stories. Or the time I did a flawless confidence card in Season of the Worthy with Fighting Lion and 2 good friends. That felt amazing. All points in the spectrum of good and bad memories have been there in Destiny for me throughout my life, and I'm glad it's been that way. It's been really nice to come back to this game as a touchstone throughout my life, throughout the ups, downs, and everything in between. So naturally, throughout all these thousands of hours of playing and forming memories, I've also come to accumulate massive stockpiles of loot. I think for almost every gun in the game, I've probably at some point obtained the quote-unquote God roll, which is what Destiny players like to call the one true roll, like all the random perks on it line up and it's optimal and the best you can possibly get compared to any other version of the weapon. And the community kind of defines these things in a hive mind sense. It's pretty rare to get things that align so perfectly like that with what a larger community thinks is good, but it's even more unlikely that there is actually one true God roll for each weapon. But due to how much I've played, I think for the most part, I've seen many of these God tier items come through my inventory as I've played the game. In addition to weapons, I've also acquired all the God roll pieces of armor too, which just means they have high stats that fit with other armor pieces. Then I wear all this armor at the same time, and then my character has for example, faster health recovery or gets grenades faster because I'm wearing this coordinated set of gear. Point is, I got all the goods, I saved all the loadouts to Destiny Item Manager so I could equip them in an instant for whatever scenario I needed, and just in general, I got to this point where I didn't really need to grind for anything anymore if I didn't want to. But even as I've gotten all this good stuff, in the past couple of years I've just started deleting it. like some dirty little secret habit or something. I'd get a god roll and I'd just throw it away sadistically, in part because I didn't have the space for it, but another part of me was just kind of losing its shit internally over a topic we'll discuss later. First, about the not having space part, I got to this point, like many Destiny players, where I just didn't have the room to hold every good item in the game. 500 slots in your vault and about 9 slots on each character for each item type is just not enough, which is cool that there are so many good and unique items in the game. Like, that's a good problem to have. But once I started realizing that many of the old things I had to delete in order to make space for the new stuff had literally just been sitting there unused for like years at a time, then I got really sad. Like the idea that I was grinding my ass to get these rare god tier items and then just dumping them in a vault to sit there literally unused for a year or more and then deleting them. I can't even describe how gross that was to me and how sad that made me when I got to that point. It just felt so incredibly meaningless. Like the game and my brain was telling me I was supposed to do everything I could to get all the good gear, just in the event I might use it, and then it was all worthless anyway because I had no room to store it or new stuff came along later to replace it. It became a familiar and depressing loop. But let me be clear about one key point here. I literally feel no ill will towards the game's developers over this. I actually don't. The fact that we only have 500 vault slots actually does not bother me because people don't need 500 vault slots. That's what I've come to realize. People don't actually use all that stuff sitting in their vault. Very, very few people actually use that much space. For the average player with that much space, it is literally inevitable that like half your gear will just sit there unused for like a year or more or longer. It's useless unless you go out of your way to use it. Like actually useless. It doesn't have a point. And if you're not using it, it may as well not exist. Unless, of course, your joy is literally just paging over it once in a while, seeing it for like 2 seconds and being like, "Aw, I remember when I used to use that or when I got that." And then you just go to the next page to pull the more effective meta modern choice and actually go play with that because it's better and you're used to it already. It just feels really backwards to me. There's so few people who actually make use of 500 vault slots. Okay, so here's what everyone is thinking right now. What if I need that item one day? What if it's the god roll one day? I hear ya. I realize that, once or twice you were right and the stars aligned. Maybe like 110 RPM hand cannons got changed to 120 RPM, 150s got changed to 140s, they got much closer in their time to kill, and then suddenly you realize elemental capacitor provides a truckload of handling on arc subclasses and quick draw is kind of bad now, and then of course opening shot was as good a lovely self as always, and then everyone got scared into longer ranges so they could avoid stasis abilities, and hey, all of a sudden you essentially have a god roll of a really good PvP weapon in True Prophecy with opening shot and elemental capacitor. That's awesome. That's a fun feeling. But I think you need to look a little closer at this because you're missing something. The only reason you're excited about this is because it means now you don't have to grind to get this thing. And the only reason you feel obligated to get this thing is because of some voice in the back of your head that's screaming you need the optimal roll that the streamer talked about in the YouTube video. I feel that. I've been there, and I still struggle with that part of myself, thinking that I absolutely have to somehow get the best roll, otherwise something's worthless. But 1, that just isn't true, and 2, it just isn't reliably attainable. You rolling the dice 5 times in a row for the Masterwork Barrel, Magazine first perk, and second perk, and actually getting what you want, the chances of that are minuscule. They're astronomically small. If you take into account how little control you actually have over what rolls you get on the items you want in Destiny, you start to realize that whatever you want doesn't mean shit. It isn't gonna happen perk for perk in the exact way that you want. If it does, cool, you got extremely lucky, but that doesn't matter. You can't rely on luck. It's not like you earned that in any way whatsoever. You just rolled the dice. And rolling the dice over and over again doesn't mean you're getting a better chance at this every subsequent time. But let's say you do get lucky and you get the god roll or close to the god roll of something. Well, getting the god roll of something doesn't actually mean you're going to be that much better off than anyone else with a comparable roll. This is honestly such a weird, twisted mindset that has worked its way into the Destiny community. Like this idea that you have to have the best roll, and if you don't, someone with a better roll is going to beat you in, I don't know, PvP duels or PvE boss damage or something. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't. Good players are going to do well regardless of their tools. Like, if you gave Yo-Yo Ma a $200 cello made from particle board, he's still going to make some of the most beautiful music you've ever heard. And if you give him the Petunia, a cello made by Domenico Montagnana in 1733, valued at about $2.5 million, he's still going to create some of the most beautiful sounds you've ever heard. It doesn't really matter except to him and if he has fun with it. The same is true in Destiny. If you give me a God Roll Dire Promise and you give Cammy Cakes the One Earth green hand cannon, it doesn't matter, I'm still losing, but my chances of winning weren't tied to the roll. Any roll on any weapon is going to be stellar in the hands of a good player. Or you give me the most OP build that you can solo Grandmasters with, and you give Auror the same build, he's going to finish about 4 GMs with 0 teammates in the time it takes me to finish 1 GM with an entire team. Who's in chat? Oh, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Your items do not matter in Destiny. They just don't. They're fun, and it's fun to get different ones to try out different playstyles or to get easy kills because the roll is kind of cheesy. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you have in your hands. You can do entire Grandmaster Nightfalls with only free-to-play weapons and armor and free-to-play mods, and while your completions will go slower, you can still do it completely fine. Or in the PvP world, you can get to the legend rank in the competitive playlist with only free-to-play gear, relying on your skill and your teamwork to take you there by just practicing. And while both of those situations will inevitably be harder than having the precise god roll of something you want, winning and having fun is still entirely possible. It'll just take you a bit longer or require you to play in a slightly different way. The idea that you need to have the best possible roll of something is founded in a deeply confusing and insecure place that a lot of gamers feel, which is that they genuinely believe that they are bad at the game, and without the best gear they can't succeed. Sorry to call you out, but I think that's where this is coming from. It's the idea that you don't have a chance to win unless you have the best possible tool, but it's just not true. You can do just as well as anyone else, even if you're using items that are comparable to the perceived god tier items. And while some things will be harder to do well with against good opponents, if you're comparing like 2 of the exact same weapon to each other and they're just missing like 1 or 2 perks, like a palindrome with low range and a palindrome with high range, those are so close together, and palindrome is just good no matter what. So what'll make or break the gun more than the perks is the player. Now, I think another thing in the back of people's minds is this strange sort of tournament or scrim player mentality where they think that if they're going up against opponents of equal skill, that it's going to come down to the gun's perks, and I still don't really think that's true there. This might be true for the people who are like in the top 0.01% of Destiny players, where if they match each other, it really will come down to like single shots of who's going to win and who's going to lose, and perks like Eye of the Storm are going to come into play. Like maybe that one time you traded with somebody because you had Eye of the Storm in that tournament or whatever, that single kill could win you the match. So if you're in an unbelievably close situation where the matchmaking that you've gotten is perfect, which like just never happens, it's always going to be a little out of balance, which is fine. Unless you're in one of those situations, what it's going to come down to 99% of the time is how well you can do with your tool, not how expensive, difficult, or unique the tool is. What's more, I think that this insistence that the best must absolutely be defined by somebody like a content creator rather than you figuring it out for yourself, and the subsequent insistence that you must have that specific thing, comes from a place of desperation due to a social context around you forcing you to feel this way, and the game someone inviting you to indulge this feeling, which is what we're going to get into in the next chapter. Okay, I'm almost done personally attacking you, but I have 2 more things to say about this desperation and insistence surrounding god rolls. You like grinding, and you like luck. If you've played Destiny for even a little while, I think by now you've realized that you like that burn. You like the pain of grinding forever to try to get the one true god roll of a weapon, and you like the idea that it's tied to luck. You like the idea that for some reason you were special, you got the thing, and a bunch of other people didn't, which makes you feel special and like you can now do better than them. I know, I've been there too many times. Feels good to feel like you were lucky and now you have an advantage. And what's more, the grind can be fun. The intermittent random reinforcement is fun, just never knowing when you'll randomly strike gold. That's exciting, and it really activates the neurons in the human brain. And then furthermore, it's fun to hoard all these shiny little treasures away in your vault just to brag about them later and send your friends screenshots just to make them jealous. I get it. That's fun for a lot of people. And on the surface, there's nothing wrong with that, it's just a game. I just want to name it for what it is. Destiny players like the luck, they like that burn, they like squirreling away treasures, and they like showing their treasures off, even if they've never fired a shot on them. I am like this too sometimes. And in addition to the luck, Destiny players like the grind itself. They do. So when the time comes, years later, that maybe 2 random items in your vault are suddenly good, that kind of means next to nothing. These players might gain a moment of feeling special that they had the thing in advance, and that's nice. Maybe they save themselves a little bit of time grinding for it, but in the long run, it doesn't really matter. If you're someone who already feels obligated to grind for every god roll, you're already going to be playing as much as you usually do anyway, which is a ton. It's not like having that one single weapon ahead of time makes you feel less obligated to grind for the other 5 that just launched, that have the same loot source or a similar loot source that you don't have the god rolls of yet. You want it all, and having one piece of this picture isn't really changing your long-term time investment. And the even sillier part about all of this is that Bungie's sandbox balancing and economy management has gotten so good over the years that it doesn't really even matter if you have some inaccessible god roll item, because the game's developers know this and they have already done things to even the playing field. Like that Adept Astral Horizon roll you could only get for like 1 weekend that had super high range and handling and was quickly changed later so it was unobtainable with that specific roll. That's exciting. I get it. People are afraid of missing out and they think that if they don't have the best stuff, they can't do well. Anyway, let's say you did get that extremely rare god roll Astral Horizon. That's awesome, congrats. That was probably pretty fun for a little while, but then Bungie nerfed aggressive frame shotguns a few times. They nerfed all shotguns and brought them closer together in one hit kill range. They widened the spread whenever you slide, and suddenly that god roll Astral you held onto for fear of never getting another one or wanting to have something better and exclusive, well, it doesn't really matter anymore now because it's only barely better than the other aggressive frame shotguns, or in some cases it's worse. And here's the real kicker. That whole time, Felwinter's Lie was available, which is just as good if not better. Bungie is well aware of the loot that they create and put in this game, and if something is out of line and too powerful, it doesn't stay that way. It never does. People often call these items that are extremely good broken, which I think is a bit silly, but for the purposes of this video, I'll just call these things broken too. So let's say an item is broken and obtainable, then pretty much everyone is going to have a way to obtain it or obtain something very similar. Or if something is broken and unobtainable, there's always a way to obtain something very similar. Or if something is broken, unobtainable, and there's not really anything that's similar, oftentimes these things are just patched or nerfed pretty quickly. Or if it really comes to it, Bungie just literally puts it up for sale at a vendor that anyone can buy.
Inside the 10, get back, guys. Here it is, the season's on the line. 2 receivers left and right. McCown takes the snap, he steps up, he's all by himself, fires into the end zone, caught! Touchdown!
Hey YouTube, Maddie's gonna take over from here because I need to drink a little pee. So she'll take it from here. Thanks.
I am familiar with Destiny 1 because of an ex-boyfriend in college, and I'm familiar with Destiny 2 purely from Gjerda, so I know enough.
She knows it's about orbs.
Yes, orb's good, triangle's bad. I also know about Grapplegate.
Yeah, you do. At the time of this recording, over 60,000 of you have watched this video for some godforsaken reason, and a great portion of you have let me know very clearly that what I meant to say was clamber or mantle, not grapple.
I'm just a fast reader.
It's just like these special roles you hold on to aren't as exclusive and limited as you think. Having the best thing, or at least something comparable to it, will always be made accessible to you by Bungie, or if not, it'll be changed. We have seen this fact become more and more true over the years, and it will continue to be this way. They know what they're doing, and they want good items to feel fairly accessible to everyone. I am well aware you have about 5 examples on the tip of your tongue right now when this wasn't true. But in every one of these examples, the things end up getting changed eventually, sold for everyone to have, or there's something else available that's almost identically as good. Here's the message of this chapter. As of now, the whole point of Destiny is to accumulate every good item so you can play Destiny in all of the unique ways it has to offer. But if you're not using those things anyway, and you're just playing the same old builds you've always played, or just playing however the streamers or the meta tells you to play, then it literally doesn't matter if you have this hoard of items, and it doesn't matter if you don't have more vault space. The players who actually deserve a bunch of vault space are the ones who somehow, beautifully, have the time and energy to play with a bunch of different random things in the game. And that is not many of us. It's probably not you. It's definitely not me. And that's definitely not Yerda.
Cheers.
Are you content? Hi, she's an actor. That's fun. Love you, gamers.
Gamers will love to know that they're loved. Gamers like to be loved.
God bless.
So if we're not using it, do we really deserve it? I don't think so. Okay, I want us to see and hold this frustration that I'm feeling, wait for a moment, and realize where it's really directed. Capitalism.
Oh shit, here we go again.
When I really took the time to think about this, I realized what makes me so unbelievably angry and sad about people making these massive hoards of unused items only to destroy them to make room for new unused hoards. Well, what I realized I was actually mad about was the system that enabled and encouraged people to do this strange behavior. Hear me out. This ties back to some core issues in the United States and the world today about hoarding wealth. And this theme quite literally affects everyone from the richest people down to the poorest of gamers. The theme here is this idea of accumulation for the sake of accumulation. If you want a visualization, think of a dragon sitting on a huge pile of treasure asleep, and the treasure just sits there for no reason, completely unused, rusting away because the dragon just likes having it, and that's the only way it can sleep. It just wants as much as it can possibly get, no matter what. There is literally no end in its hunger. This way of living is a disease that you see wealthy people around the world succumb to at a certain point, where one day it doesn't matter how much they have, they always need more. There is no end at any point to how much they want to accumulate. It is a voracious, inhuman hunger that infects so many people, forcing them to consume as much as possible, no matter the cost. And in many cases, the environment around them and the people around them are directly or indirectly encouraging them to become this monster. And then they, in turn, with their power and image, encourage others to do the same, either intentionally or unintentionally, sometimes just through their image. This is an idea that festers at the very core of the world we live in today, and it has festered there for an eternity. We see it in our leaders everywhere from politics to entertainment to sports, and we see it in the owners of large corporations. We see it in content creators, this fervor just growing as big as possible just for the sake of growing at any cost, whether they want to grow or need to grow or have anything of value to say or do at all. There can never be enough for them. Because this idea of getting as much as you can and stepping on whoever you need to step on along the way, because that exists so strongly in our lives and is reinforced by the people and the systems around us that we have to interact with every single day, well, that means that these values inevitably penetrate into each one of our minds and cause us to start behaving in these strange, inhuman ways that we might not otherwise behave in, like thinking that we need to act that way too, which is super silly, especially in video games. I think this idea pervades into those who make games and those who consume games, just like any other industry in the world. I think there's an urgency and desperation to create games that people want to consume as quickly as possible and to keep creating new things in the game that keep them coming back out of fear they're missing out. Like they need something and they can't miss it and they just have to check every single box, otherwise they feel incomplete. This is something that game creators feel the need to do in their games and are pushed to do, and something that players respond to as well, which is unfortunate for both parties. It creates an endless cycle of games growing more and more shallow and meaningless, straying further and further from the initial goal of a video game, which is to have a moment of escape through organically fun gameplay that's just fun at its heart. like hitting the perfect shot, or communicating a play effectively with your friends, or mastering some weird movement just because it's fun to do. That's what we should be aiming for, not recreating the very systems we're trying to escape in the world we were trying to escape to. I don't think it's entirely the fault of game creators or players that we got to this point in gaming where we're manufacturing accumulation for the sake of accumulation in our worlds that were meant to be an escape. However, it's the place we find ourselves in now, and we should change it. To tie this back to Destiny, finally, right? Well, the same thing applies here, albeit at a much smaller level. With Destiny, even though it's a much nicer, less egregious example of all these nasty things we talked about earlier, there are still some ways that these pressures from the world around us influence Destiny and result in systems in the game that are not designed for long-term satisfaction and not designed to respect the player. And I love Destiny and respect the people who make it. After all, there's a reason I've played thousands upon thousands of hours in this game over the course of 7 years now. It's because most of the game is that organically, intrinsically fun gameplay that I think needs to be at the heart of any good game. It's there with Destiny. It just feels good to play. And as for the parts that feel a little time-wasty, Bungie has done and continues to do so much to try to resist the pull of the world around them. I think a lot of this is genuinely not Bungie's fault. But regardless of intent, I want to focus on impact, and so I need to call out that I think this vault thing is seriously actually tied into some kind of nasty themes. And I don't mean just the vault of 500 items itself, I mean the gameplay loop that leads us to feel like we need to collect every single quote-unquote god roll no matter what, just for the sake of accumulating them, and then delete them to make room for new stuff that's designed to do the very same thing after a year or two and then be deleted as well. The vault is just like the cap on the bottle here, forcing us to delete things after we reach a certain point. If anything, I like that we're limited to 500 items in the vault, and I actually kind of wish it were a little smaller. Once people hit that cap, they're forced to evaluate what actually matters to them and what they actually want to use. And I think that's a big, important part of the game that makes it more fun, and a big, important part of life. You don't get to have everything you want. You have to evaluate the things you really want to use or remember, and the rest has to go. I like that, I think it is healthy, and what you'll learn shortly is why I tried committing to this philosophy the most you can possibly commit to it. When it comes to living a clean, minimalist life and discarding unused things, I've committed to this a bit further than most people have. I'm an adult who is entering some important years in his career where Americans traditionally start buying a lot of things, like furniture, clothing, tools, computers, games, pans, dishes, dogs, cats, cars, lawnmowers, shovels, TVs, having kids, like the whole 9 yards of accumulation in this country that we are literally trained to do at a certain age. This is the middle class. At this point in my life, I'm supposed to buy as much as I can and amass a house and a basement filled with stuff. This is how the country flourishes and survives, and how the planet dies. It is an immense economic force that is the engine of this world, the reason rich people are rich, poor people are poor, and the reason why millions of adults every year go to their parents' basements after the parents die and think, wow, mom and dad sure had a lot of garbage I don't give a shit about, huh? And then they throw it all away, and then at the end of their lives, the cycle repeats itself. So the past few years, I have started to take actions so as to not be this way as I grow up. At the beginning of 2020, I had my first adult job for 2 years, and I had started accumulating stuff as I was supposed to do. Also at the beginning of 2020, I moved, and I was fortunate enough to see every single item I owned laid out on the floor once I finished moving it all. So I left it on the floor, and over the next few days, I just started throwing things away into either the trash, recycling, or a donation box. I think this started as me sort of freaking out about who I didn't want to become, but it very quickly transformed into me being very happy with who I was becoming, which is somebody who really, really likes living a minimalist life. So as I threw things out, donated them, and recycled them, I probably got rid of like 2/3 of the things I own. It was a lot of shit. It was a moment of cathartic freedom that continues to bring me joy to this day. But I didn't just stop with like old clothes I didn't really use anymore. I went into memorabilia and I got rid of a lot of that as well. I went through letters from friends, every photo and video I had, every little trinket or bauble that held an important memory to me, and I held it in my hand. I ask myself if I really needed this object to remember the memory, or if I'd remember it perfectly fine without the object, or if I really needed to remember it at all, and 90% of the time I didn't need the thing. So I let most of it go. I kept a small selection of photos and items that could all fit into one small plastic bin, and anytime I see that bin start to fill up, I purge it. I go through it again, remember the memories of each item, and discard the things that I just don't need anymore. It feels really, really good. You could describe this as Swedish death cleaning, which is a recent fad that swept through the United States a few years ago. It's this idea that if you died tomorrow and your family had to clean out all your stuff, what would you really want them to have to go through? In many cases, including mine, it's very, very little. I have no plans to die anytime soon, and in fact, I'd love to never die because the idea of oblivion and actual nothingness, which is incomprehensible, terrifies me. But because living has come to mean having things, not having as many things is a way of living a little closer to death. Living in a way that's free from all this meaningless garbage genuinely makes me really happy and peaceful and less afraid of death because I'm living closer to it. By living so minimally with only the few things that I need or that matter very, very deeply to me, I feel I know myself better, and for the time that I am alive, it feels it matters so much more. This journey of letting go of like almost everything I own has spanned over 2 years now, and I have reduced my belongings to very little. If I had to move in the future, I would not have a particularly hard time. I can fit everything I own into about 10 or 15 plastic bins, which I store in the basement of my apartment building, each of which is labeled, and if I needed to pack up shop tomorrow and move, I could. Now, I do have some nice furniture, but I'm either going to keep that stuff for life, or it can be sold almost instantly on Facebook or Craigslist. Anyway, this lifestyle feels great and simple, and it's something I've been trying to carry into every facet of my life. Even the video games I play, which right now is basically entirely Destiny. My Destiny Vault, a kind of a digital basement, was basically the last thing on my list that I needed to clean out to feel like I was actually free. About a year ago, I took my first pass of the vault and got it down to like 300 items from like 450, which felt absolutely amazing, but then over another year, it quickly swelled back up to like 400 and at times close to 500. That first pass I took culled the herd down quite a bit, and it's how I wiped out my first era of god roll weapons and armor, but these past few months, I realized that I really wanted to go further and live with 100 or less items. But once I started making lists about what had to go, I realized how desperately I wanted to be free from all of the clutter, and by clutter I mean items any normal Destiny player would consider treasures. Sorry, but I didn't feel that way anymore. Something isn't really a treasure to me if it sits around unused forever. Around this time, I started seeing all these vault cleaning videos popping up in the Destiny YouTube community, like I finally cleaned my vault, or so-and-so roasts my vault, or one I actually really loved though was Patty Cakes' video about like what weapons he would keep if he could only keep his inventory. But with all these videos, people still ended up keeping like a lot of stuff, and I realized the cycle was just gonna repeat itself, and I just kinda snapped. I was like, screw this. To me, vault cleaning felt like a lot more meaningful than a lot of these videos. Also, there was a bit of one-upsmanship because I knew deep down how I could definitely go way, way further than anyone else could in this vault cleaning fad. And I'm a petty son of a who likes to play chicken. So I changed my strategy and I decided that I would delete every single item in my vault, only use my inventory, and not use my vault for at least a month. And well, we've reached that point now and exceeded it. I have not used a single slot in my vault for over a month now. I have only used the postmaster and my inventory on each character. And honestly, it has felt amazing. I feel free and I love it so much. Now, it wasn't without plenty of effort to reach this point. I had to make list after list after list which weapons I would need for Grandmaster Nightfalls, raids, trials, survival, and just having fun. And here's another pressure point. I have a day one raid team who's depending on me with some great gamers in it, like people who really want to try their best and get that completion in a decent time. People who have been hoarding bounties and practicing in Master Vogue to get ready for this thing. So the pressure was on for me to get this list right and not be a detriment to my team. And as for armor, the pressure was on too. To solve the armor dilemma, I used d2armorpicker.com, made by Miyago, to find 1 or 2 good, flexible, high stat builds with every single exotic piece I actually cared about across all 3 of my characters, wasting as few stat points as possible with every build. I chose excellent legendary armor in my most integral builds, and then when making new builds with less important exotics, I use those same legendary pieces, identifying them by leaving notes on them in Destiny Item Manager or DIM, which allowed me to see which legendary armor pieces were used in other exotic builds, so I didn't actually need that much legendary armor because I double or triple or quintuple dipped in some cases. I then saved these builds from D2 Armor Picker into DIM with all the important mods equipped, so now at any point I can just click whichever build I want in DIM and it'll instantly equip those armor pieces and mods, and I won't need a huge armada of legendary armor to support every single exotic build. It's a great feeling, and I just feel like physically lighter having done this. Like I just have my backpack of armor and weapons, it works with everything, and I'm good. I just feel ready to adventure. So once I had every single exotic build I could ever want to use labeled and saved into Destiny Item Manager, and I had made a list of every weapon I wanted and needed to keep, which was very hard, I finally reached the stage of deleting every single item. And honestly, I was pretty scared at this point, but I trusted myself that all my research would pay off, and I think it did. I gathered my friends in a Discord stream and showed them as I deleted every single item. I recorded it and edited it together for you, which I'll play shortly for you. But first, I wanted to go through the items I actually decided to keep, so when you see me delete all this stuff, it makes you a little less concerned. Remember, there are chapter time codes in the description. On Warlock, I probably kept the most amount of things, and there are actually a few things that I kept on my Titan and Hunter because they were open, and I wanted to keep so much on the Warlock that it was just overflowing. Starting out, I was very fortunate to get this True Prophecy at Xur recently. It's kind of funny, they just sold this for free. I think this is the best roll in the game. I don't really care about this other stuff, but it can have max handling, which is amazing. So this is probably like one of the best hand cannons in the whole game, easily. It's in direct competition with me for this steady hand roll I have, which is really nice, but I just like the True Prophecy more, so I'll probably delete this, to be honest. I also kept this Legal Action. It's a very nice roll, works great in PvE and PvP. I love the sound effect on this one. It reminds me a lot of that old Haka pulse rifle called Einstein D, I think, or Einstein D, but it has that same aesthetic, and I loved that so much. Also kept the best hand cannon in the game, of course. Good old Austringer. Unfortunately, you can't get it anymore because it was from the Menagerie, but the gun's model, the look, the sound, and then obviously the roll, and like the potential of Eye of the Storm and opening shot makes it, in my opinion, basically the best 140 in the whole game because these are the 2 best hand cannon perks. I guess you could argue for rangefinder being good too, but trying to push a 140 out of its optimal range just always feels like a losing battle to me, and I'd rather have these 2. This thing was just so iconic. I also kept this God Roll Ias Luna. Pretty darn nice. Need to use it more though. And this is the Astral I decided to keep instead of my other surplus rifle barrel roll. I just think long term this one's probably going to be a little bit better, especially if we can maybe reroll Masterworks one day, which I think is entirely possible. Also my PvE and PvP heritage. I love this thing. It just has basically everything I want. 100 range, and then with quick charge, the handling is 100 as well. And then reconstruction is actually one of my favorite perks in PvP as well as PvE, because you just don't have to think about reloading. The look and sound of Harry paired with the huge range and aim assist that it has makes it, I think, probably the best slug in the game right now, if you just ignore what you can pair with it. But you can pair palindrome with it, so like a rangefinder palindrome and this thing is, you know, probably one of the most powerful loadouts out there. No other legendary slugs come close to this thing. Unless, of course, you want to use an energy slug or you just want to use some combination like this, which is extremely fun. And yeah, I love this thing. I will never dismantle this unless I get this combo again somehow with a high range and high aim assist and high handling roll. That's the one thing Philo kind of lacks is high aim assist, but you know, these 2 together kind of make up for that. And also just having good aim makes up for that too. This is my favorite slug in the game. Even if I think Heritage is better, this is the one that I never want to take off. Or Duality. And then of course this, sometimes you need it. Sometimes you gotta throw it on if everyone else throws it on. So good to have in your back pocket for supers or whatever else. Duality, my baby, love it. It's in my profile picture. This ornament is like one of my favorite in the game, and it's the best shotgun in the game, in my opinion. There's a little bit of bloat right now, you'll notice. My Titan is actually full up on energy slot, but that's okay. I rarely use my Titan, to be honest. But the bloat is partly because of these two. I'm trying to figure out which I like more. This is the Zur roll. It's godly. I love everything about it, but I'm just not sure if I can part ways with elemental capacitor and really high range, because this also feels incredible. I would really love if I could get arrowhead or somehow 100 recoil direction, because it is kind of bouncy. I would love like heating up here or something instead, but all in all, this is one of my favorite weapons to use, even with this like halfway decent roll. Elemental capacitor really takes it to the S tier for me. We already covered my Philo. I think this is the best roll you can get, and I love it. This is one of the 2 palindromes that I ended up keeping. I wanted 1 rangefinder roll and 1 thresh roll. Everyone always asks this shader, it's Rivalry Stoic. This is another good choice if you want it to look like a Nerf gun. And I could definitely do with a better barrel, but everything else on this is really quite nice. Here's my Igneous. This is pretty much one of the best rolls you can get. I think rapid hit and celerity, and then ricochets or high cals, probably range or handling. And then ideally like fluted or hammer forged here. Just, my God, this thing is so good. And then the fateful time loss found verdict. A lot of controversy about me deleting my, what was it? It was like slide shot, demolitionist, and then Accurize full choke range masterwork, which I deleted. And I'm probably going to delete this one pretty soon too, because if I can't get surplus and opening shot, then I just don't want it. And I know I'm going to get so many of these over time that I'm okay with not having it around until I get the good roll. I know that sounds silly, but I just don't even really use it that much. Easily the best spread shotgun in the entire game, but if I'm going to use an energy slot close range special weapon, it's going to be duality or it's going to be Philo, and there's just no contest. So that's why it just sits here unused. And then of course the well skating tool, great tool to have if you want to launch yourself. I'm going to run through heavy weapons quick because I don't really care about them. Yeah, good for PvE, good for PvE and PvP. Finally got this month, took a few years. God roll hothead, this is going to be really nice. Haven't used it much, but it's already incredible. The sleeper, another great weapon for PvE, very fun. I remember getting this on Mars actually when that quest was like forever and completing the masterwork was like equally as long. And you had to get the masterwork to drop from Spire of Stars on prestige mode. And then my 2 tomorrow answers. This is the really good PvP one. It's just like really fast because of impulse amplifier, and then maybe it cleans somebody up with this, and and then this is the goofy roll. I only recently remembered to put my tracker on it, but I have a lot more than this. Lasting impression in PvP, and then this to get it to attach to the enemy as quickly as possible is very important. Or get it to attach near to them. One of the most enjoyable weapons to use in PvP. You will get the best clips ever with something like this. Okay, and I'm not really gonna show armor builds. This is the transverse build. It's nice. And then I kept this. This has 0 wasted stat points. This has 0 wasted stat points. This is high mobility, high recovery. I did keep an Ophidians. It's on my Titan right now. I just don't really use it a whole lot right now. This is great to have around. Good old Starfire for healing or for floating. This thing has 0 wasted stat points in the build, and it's a really nice spread, and I'm excited to finally use it one day. And then of course PvE backup, the good old T-steps, the good old Luna factions, and then I kept one of every flavor, and Artifice piece here. Yeah, just in case. All right, that's Warlock. Let's move on to the Hunter. All right, on Hunter, we got kind of just throwing a bunch of stuff here that I don't really use a whole lot. I think this is actually the best roll you can possibly get on this. You could argue for opening shot here, but I really like snapshot. And I feel like the opening shot of attack is already so generous on 140 RPM hand cannons. So I'd rather just have the instant rangefinder benefits, which is plenty of range for me. The reason I also say it's the best possible roll on Dire is because I do think rangefinder is that for Dire. I think that's the play. Unless you want to go elemental capacitor here and then opening shot, that could work too. But anyway, this is the Zur roll that I hope everybody bought when it was available. High cals for flinching people, steady hand, and a stability masterwork, which will take you to exactly 68 stability, which is super nice. So every time your gun is ready to fire again, that is the exact frame that you can then have your reticle centered. So there's really no downtime or fighting this gun. It's just a laser beam, has really high range and does flinch, and it's just, you can't get any better than this in my opinion. If you go less stability, I don't like fighting the gun's recoil pattern. It's not really something I care to do. Anyway, enough about Dire. That's the one Dire I kept. On the Hunter, I got all these sniper rifles that I never use because I'm terrible at sniping, but it feels wrong to delete them. This is my very first Eye of Soul I got, which is super nice. Oh, I guess I did use it a little bit, but then we got the Succession. I did have a really nice PvP roll of Succession, but if I'm gonna use a kinetic slot sniper in PvP, to be honest, it's just gonna be probably this. So that's why I kept my PvE roll of Succession. Took me 44 clears of Deepstone Crypt to get a single Succession to drop. It was nuts. Then the Huckleberry, best ad clear gun in the game, I don't care what you say. Pre-nerf Rampage, cool ornaments, never ever have to reload. Like you actually never have to reload. Like you actually don't reload ever, which is amazing. And you're always at basically 3 stacks of Rampage, good handling, ricochets. There's no beating this. Hawkmoon, this is the Hawkmoon roll I kept because Eye of the Storm. Probably could have gone with Hammer Forged here, but I don't know. This is good enough for me. This is actually kind of a bummer to have high handling because on every crit that you land, you're going to get a stack of Paracausal Charge. Paracausal Charge is going to give you more handling on every stack, and it's just going to max out your handling with like 1 or 2 crits. Much rather have like Hammer Forged here, or even Full Bore, honestly, screw it. But Eye of the Storm, I think is my favorite pick. I would consider Rangefinder too, but I just have so many Rangefinder hand cannons, and I was like, I really want at least one hand cannon without Rangefinder. So that's Hawkmoon for me. Good old Chroma Rush for PvE. It's fine. It's nice. Looks cool. Sounds cool. Very useful. I don't know. I got this one. Seemed fine. And my baby. This just makes it feel like Redrix's Broadsword, which is what I wanted more than anything. So it makes me very, very happy to have this. Took like 3,000 legendary shards and like 16 hours of farming trials that one weekend, getting to the flawless, then farming the flawless card over and over again. So that was pretty grueling. A lot of DMT, stag, stasis action, but got the job done, and sometimes you gotta farm, and I think it was worth it to get this. All right, the best roll of Frozen Orbit you can possibly get. Very, very lucky to get this thing. It is astronomically unlikely that these things would all come together, but they did, and I'm very happy. I need to actually use it. It's kind of embarrassing that I haven't yet. Also need to pick out a unique shader for it. Should we go Nerf Gun? Oh, I actually love that. That's cool. Gloam Strife. All right, cool. Premonition. I got this after I cleared the vault, but it's so good. It has Arrowhead. That's all, and Surplus, you know? What more do you need? It looks cool, sounds cool. Arrowhead, Surplus. I'm good. Kept a very nice annual skate, which is reminiscent of Waking Vigil for me, because side shot, opening shot. And hits that magical stability number and just is beautiful. It just feels so easy to land those 3 taps with this thing because the model is so clean, and it's also a weapon from year 1 of Destiny, which I always loved. I had just that, that static roll in my inventory a lot. I think it had triple tap too, and I loved it. I thought this was a really cute little quote too. But yeah, I used Annual Skate plenty back in the day in year 1, not nearly as much as I should have, but definitely has a fond place in my heart. Okay, the Summoner from when Trials came out with the Elemental Capacitor, Arrowhead, which is beautiful, high Cal's range, moving target. There's no better Summoner roll than this. Well, maybe there is. I barely used it, but I think this is on paper, this is exactly what I would want. So I was super happy to get this. I've come around to loving auto rifles. So this is kind of like the alternative Suros verse for me. Oh, that's weird. Wow, cool. All right, and the bottom dollar I got that used to be really good when it could 2-tap, and sometimes it still does, but it's fine, it's good. Keeping it for the look and the sound and the memory too of my bottom dollar farm guide, which was like my very first YouTube video I made that was actually moderately successful for my numbers anyway. I don't know that it was particularly helpful because it was just like telling people different ways to play Gambit, but it was fun to make, and I don't know, it seemed like people kind of enjoyed it. Some of these I didn't really keep because I know them or enjoy them all that much. This was part of that plan of sketching out all of the potential PvE weapons I might need, and I didn't have a long range arc weapon or an arc scout, for example. I did have Solar Scout covered, and I do have Void Scout covered, you'll see coming up. But yeah, I was like, scouts are gonna be really important. I think I gotta put an arc one on here. So this was just one that seemed fine to me. Not ideal to have full bore, but whatever, I don't really care. Gets the job done. All right, the Uzme God roll. Yep, Another instance where I, for some reason, have the best possible luck in the game for getting sniper rifles, which is a curse because I do not use them whatsoever. And that is just a tragedy. Anyway, yeah, this is a perfect example of where I was really happy to get this roll because it works so well for both PvE and PvP. And I love that idea of just having one copy, like one single copy of a gun that works for any scenario. It's pretty nice. It's good SMG. I don't know. I needed a close range SMG that was not exotic. And then of course my baby. I cannot describe how much I love Polaris Lance. For a bad console player in PvE who like was just learning like how to play Destiny PvE wisely, this was the perfect tool because you could just sit back and kill anything. So many fun memories from this of my Destiny childhood, basically. And then Whisper, I really want this thing to be like God tier again. I love it so much. The Whisper mission was like one of my favorite PvE things ever. It just like kickstarted my excitement for Destiny all over again back when it came out. Also, at one point with this very Whisper, I killed Fallout Plays in Gambit and he screamed, he whispered me. And then a bunch of people clipped it and he put it on YouTube in one of his old montages. And that was kind of cool. That was when I was like, oh shit, I'm on YouTube, Mom. Good times. Got this thing recently, seems pretty good. I'll take it. Yep, does big shots. Does a bunch of little shots, pretty nice. This thing goes burr. Never really used this thing, but it's just like, I think it's the most beautiful sword model I've ever seen. I love it. And this thing seems like it would be good, and it probably will be if I just like figure out some sort of Warmind cell build and use firing line. But I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And then of course, the nut cannon, as Data would say. Legend of Acreus was such a legend back in the day. I remember working pretty hard to get the catalyst and then not working at all to finish it. Maybe one day. It's such a PvP icon. All right, Hunter armor I kept, gonna go through quickly. This is a base 48 roll. 48 stats are the base of this. It's the only one I have though. Had to pull it from collections. So I masterworked it and it's fine. It works. I love this. This is a really fun build lately. Just going invis all the time. Liars has been an absolute blast in PvE and PvP. Oathkeepers haven't used in a while, and I actually didn't keep a single bow other than Leviathan's Breath. Oh, it took me so long to remember the name of that thing. But I might pull Wishender in the future and then just use this with the Wishender combo and just like, you know, give callouts to my teammates. That's actually a pretty fun build. And my friend Bill actually went flawless with me doing that with the Hunter callouts. It's really kind of fun and unique in PvP, honestly, especially when it works and you go flawless, even cooler. I have a zero wasted stat points build with the Aeons, which is quite nice for PvE. Probably my most used Hunter build lately. Kepris for the wall hacks. This has zero wasted stat points if I ever want to do some cool like double dodge build, so I'm excited to do that one day. And the Geminis, that's like my go-to Hunter PvP loadout. Don't let people have their radar, they don't deserve it. Oh yeah, and it has my big calculator on the side. This is very useful for when I need to calculate a big brain play in PvP, or when I need to like queue up the next song and like DJ or something. It doubles as a soundboard. Lucky Pants, really good for hand cannons. And then of course you gotta have a Stompies build just in case, so I do. Got a bunch of these things. I just keep this because I've had it forever and it looks cool. One of the only Hunter cloaks I've actually liked the look of. And with that, let's move on to Titan. All right, Titan time. Kept an Ace, just in case. Extremely good multi-mech. This is like one of my first ever drops, and then I was just done. So that's very, very nice. Izanagi, very special place in my heart for this thing. Absolutely gorgeous ornament, one of the best exotic ornaments in the game. And then of course it still just to this day is extremely fun in PvE and PvP too. I did go flawless using this and it was a blast way back in the day. Also doing this with Divinity in PvP, great time, highly recommend. I'm not kidding whatsoever. The God Roll Criminals, holy shit, this thing is good. Little did I know it would carry me through a entire almost year of PvP when Stasis was around and 120s were busted. Maybe not quite a year, but it felt like a year. It felt like more. Absolutely slaps, hits different, all that good stuff. I love the sound of that like crack when you shoot it. Extremely nice time loss Fatebringer. Could do with a better barrel, but almost there. This is the main pull. Eye of the Storm on this thing with explosive payload. You can't lose. You just can't lose fights. Ah yes, the non-exotic kinetic scout rifle. I guess just good to have around. Cool, moving on. This thing is basically my ideal role, exactly what I need out of the kinetic slot grenade launcher. Ah yes, the John Wick gun. Kinda looks like something John Wick would use. Sounds really cool. Acceptable role. I don't know. It's fine. I love it. And I like how it shades too. Also kind of has a special place in my heart because it was from year 1 of Destiny 2, I'm pretty sure, or something like almost identical to it was. You can also get a blue version of it if you really wanted. Oh yeah, it was right here. And then of course Minimum Distance and Athelflaed D were the other 2 choices for when you wanted sort of a silly, like John Wick feeling gun. Not good, hard to use, but an absolute blast. Pretty good sudden death. Hopefully I can re-roll this one day. This kind of sucks, but you know, this, and this is quite nice. This is pretty close to my ideal battler role. This is a fantastic weapon. I've tested out a bunch of roles on other people's accounts, and it's just extremely, extremely fun and good. Excited to get my god roll one day. This thing I love the look of, I hate the feel of. Just the sound effect is really not good for me, and the fact that you have to click the trigger a bunch, I really don't like. I wish it was full auto, but whatever, it's a great roll. And I needed a Void Scout, so it stays. Here is one of 2 energy slot grenade launchers with blinding and auto loading that I kept. The other being Truth Teller. There you are. This thing has been in my back pocket forever. Extremely, extremely good roll. Fortunate to have it, and it's always there for me when I need it. But in the event I want basically the same thing with solar, there I go. Empty vessel. Oh yeah, here's the other palindrome I kept. Good thresh roll. Cool Swedish shader. Quick draw, very nice. Got this when the arms dealer Grandmaster was around, and I farmed it forever until we were truly sick of it. Risk Runner, absolutely love this thing. Same deal as Huckleberry in my book. There's no beating Risk Runner. It's the first exotic people get, and so I think it has a memorable and really actually useful place. This is the Xur timelines I kept. Apparently it's like the best fusion rifle in the game, so that's cool. Maybe one day I'll use fusions. I've really had a hate relationship with fusions for basically forever, but that's just because I have never really given them the time or opened my mind to the idea that vooping can be fun. I think the reason that this one was okay with me is because the look is okay with me, and main ingredient is just not something I like looking at. But yeah, I could put the patty cake shader on it. That's kind of pretty. This is the Tatara I kept, one of the only 2 sunset weapons I kept, but an absolutely incredible roll. Really wish I had gotten Quick Draw and Opening Shot back in the heyday, but that's okay. This is still a really fun weapon to style on people. Really cool scope too, I love it. And a good sound, and a good history. Amazing. This thing I think is good. Seems fine, looks cool. Seems fine, looks cool. When I'm brushing over these, by the way, it's because I looked at the element and the archetype, and I was like, okay, I guess this works to fill out everything I would need in PvE, so that's why I'm brushing over these. Same with this one. Not to mention Europa weapons are some of the coolest looking and sounding out there. This is my go-to for the Gemini Jesters build because of threat detector, and it's also pretty good. And it just looks awesome. The Weeb launcher, absolutely love this thing. It is so good in PvE, and just really, really fun in PvP, which in my book makes it good. But yeah, just a hilarious, big, dorky thing. Very cute. Yeah. Excited to use this thing in Grandmasters more often. Here's the only bow I kept. Just like fusions, I have never liked bows, but if I have to keep one, it's gonna be the one with a bike chain on it. This thing is great from Season of Arrivals. Apparently this is the god roll, or like, people told me this is what that is, but regardless, it's just a really cool big butter knife. And then the Yallarhorn, iconic weapon from Destiny 1. Excited to use it more. Don't forget it's pronounced Yallarhorn. I'm not lying, that's actually how it's pronounced. Kept a great build with this. I don't really want to put it on right now, but it's nice, it's good. Gotta keep an OEM just in case. Warlock backup here, as you can see, got a couple Warlock pieces. Excited to use these more, just haven't gotten around to it. Really excited to use this a bunch more on Hunter. I think this is one of the best exotics in the game. It's just very intimidating when you see somebody wearing this, because it's like, okay, this is one of the best players in the entire game, or this is somebody this is their first match of PvP. So it's kind of exciting to see. I think this could be fun one day. In the meantime, it just looks kind of cool. These are nice. These are very nice. This is very nice. Mechaneers is going to be so much fun once I get that rolling on Hunter. I think that's just such a fun Hunter exotic. It's awesome. This is one of my go-to Titan builds right now. I just love the crest. Been with me for a while, and I just have a build that I really, really like on it. Oh yeah, this thing has 42 resilience. That's funny. Also got an Armamentarium build for double suppressors, which is always a delight. And then of course my baby, the Hoyle. I use the Hoyle so much and made a fun video on it when I actually finally carved out time to use it. And I'm glad I made that video spending time with it because it was a good time. All right, Titan legs. Holding these for later just in case. But besides that, gotta keep a Doonies around just in case. These are super fun for just floating around. Absolutely love Lion Rampants. The friend boots, delightful. Love how they look and love how they play. Just good to share sunspots, you know? Nothing wrong with that. And the PKs, God tier exotic, extremely fun. I usually like doing multi-mock and risk runner with that one. Anyway, that's everything I kept. All right, now for the things I killed. The hardest part was definitely the weapons because these are the real toys that felt like I had a more personal connection to. Like, some of these things are never obtainable again. I have incredible rolls on them, and I had spent an unbelievable amount of time grinding these rolls out, all at the mercy of complete randomness. They were my babies. I loved them so, so much, and the fact that so many of them had just sat completely unused in my vault was an insult to them and to me for never making time for them. I didn't deserve them, so I went through, I played with every single one, and then I sent it into the ether. Over the course of a month, I played with every single weapon that meant something to me and held a special place in my heart, and I gave it a real college try in PvP. It was genuinely some of the most fun I've ever had in Destiny PvP, and I will always treasure these memories, but it was high time to let these things go and live a lighter life. So here you go, here is my funeral reel of my precious little treasures who deserved honorable mentions before being turned into dust. Alright, starting in reverse alphabetical order, looks like we got Waking Vigil. This was a hand cannon from the Forsaken era that you get from the Dreaming City. It was one of the only hand cannons that could contend with the wrath of spare rations at the time because it also had pretty good range and pretty good aim assist, and you get slide shot opening shot, which I think was one of the most exciting combos. I actually never got slide shot opening shot. I had opening shot Dragonfly, which was still excellent, and this is kind of like the gun that I would use with my Revoker or whatever kinetic sniper I was using because I played so much controller sniper in that Forsaken era.
Oh, okay.
Celestial Fire.
Come to me,
Hand cannon jumping. Hand cannon jumping.
Or just win. Or just
Yes.
win. All right.
Yes, you're yes.
It was a fantastically reliable hand cannon, and of course it was a 150 back in the day, which means it got that sprint speed bonus and mobility speed bonus, just had ridiculous aim assist and fired really quickly. And all in all, this was just one of the most solid hand cannons. It was so easy to land 3 taps with it on controller and on mouse and keyboard, and it was in my inventory for basically a whole year because it was so good. And then once it got sunset, I just basically never used it again. Twilight Oath is another item from the Dreaming City. This is the curated roll, which is the snapshot box breathing roll. It was a fantastically good sniper back in the day, especially on controller, but I just never really used it because in the energy slot was beloved at the time. And that just basically snuffed out all the competition. Anyway, I was fortunate to get the curated roll, but it just wasn't quite enough, and I ended up almost never using it, so it just sat there. Traveler's Chosen is one of my favorite sidearms of all time. I was pretty new to the game at the time, and I was playing on PS4, and so when the Curse of Osiris expansion came out and this thing came with it, it was one of those first guns that I was like, okay, this feels really, really good on controller. Why does it feel this way? And then I think it came back to and was accessible with random rolls, but all the time the stability and hipfire accuracy on controller just felt like an actual laser beam, and I loved it. I also thought it looked really cool and sounded cool, and it was just one of the most fun sidearms to ever use. Unfortunately, I just never really got a chance to use it that much because some other things started coming out that were just way, way better than it. And I think I was still pretty early on in that mindset of like, I have to use the best stuff at all times, especially because I was a worse player. So I just felt like so handicapped by whatever weapon I was using. But Traveler's Chosen was like just beneath some other close range options on controller, and I definitely regret not spending more time with it. Playing with it now, I love the look and the sound and the feel, and I think it's one of those sidearms that could very easily have been something I got like thousands of kills on if I had really put in the time and opened my mind a little bit more to the fact that the optimal things aren't always necessary. Trackless Waste is a wonderful little Forsaken treasure from back in the day. You could get this from the Tangled Shore. It just has a fantastically cool sound and look to it. I love that sort of like trashy Tangled Shore look. Really, really janky. I got Quick Draw and Kill Clip, which was extremely good at the time because Quick Draw was just 100 handling at all times back in the day, which was nuts. And even though this thing's archetype was maybe not the most optimal SMG archetype because Antiope kind of ruled at the time and was also in the kinetic slot, so like it was hard to justify using anything else, Trackless was still super, super fun. It's one of those cool rolls that I got and just ended up sitting in my vault forever, even through all the times that I was purging other weapons, because I just always really wanted to come back and give this thing a shot, and I just never did for like years and years. I'm hoping this sort of model or silhouette of the gun comes back in the future because I think it looks really cool and it sounds cool. But even if it doesn't, I'm glad I finally gave Trackless Waste a shot. This one was one of the best lessons for how much I really love the aesthetics of something. And if I'm using something that looks and sounds cool, I actually do perform better because I just think it's so darn fun. Okay, Tatara Gaze was probably the most painful one for me to dismantle. This was my sniper back in the day. This is the first one I ever connected with, and I got so many cool clips and wins and trials and survival with it. One of my favorite things to do was pop a bubble, and then I would just get free body shots on everybody, and I just had so much fun with that.
Can you body shot with weapons?
Yep. Good question.
God, that's cruel. Oh my god, you guys. That's so rude.
This was my best roll, I think, that I got for consistency's sake because it was snapshot opening shot and still had pretty high handling. But I always wanted quick draw and opening shot because back in the day, quick draw was just 100 handling at all times, which was absolutely busted. So if you got quick draw opening shot, you could, in theory, which is something I really love doing, just hip fire it and randomly hit body shots or even headshots. And that's something I just never got to do because I never got the quick draw opening shot roll. I farmed for actually like hundreds of hours in the forges back in the day, and I farmed right up until the very last moment that Forsaken was sunset. And then suddenly the servers went offline and I could never get another one. My friend Adric got one when we were farming together at one point, so shout out to them. Huge congrats. I'm sad I never got the roll, but now that Quick Draw got nerfed and Tatara got sunset, it doesn't really matter as much to me. I still kept one Tatara roll though, because that silly body shotting is just so much fun to me. Anyway, rest in peace Tatara, but I am keeping one of you anyway because you're just that close to my heart. Supremacy is a sniper also from the Forsaken era. This one comes from the Last Wish raid, and it's actually a pretty rare drop to get, and it's even rarer to get Snapshot, but I did get Snapshot on it. That was my very first roll of Supremacy, and I was super fortunate. Unfortunately, I just never really wanted to use this in the kinetic slot because it was always snuffed out by Revoker, but I think the look and sound of Supremacy has pretty much never been matched by another sniper for me in Destiny. For me, how it looks and sounds and actually functions too, it makes it one of the best snipers in the game. It's too bad I never had more time to use it, but if I'm gonna use a kinetic sniper, to be honest, I'm just gonna use Eye of Soul, and I'm okay with that. Supremacy really reminds me of Destiny 1 snipers because I think this model comes from Destiny 1, so I really hope this model comes back in future weapons too because it just looks so cool. Oh god, spare rations, here it is. This gun dominated the Crucible and still kind of does sometimes for like years. It was like the only choice of primary for quite some time because it just had ridiculous aim assist and it was a 150, so you got that lightweight bonus, and it fired really fast. And it just had this fantastic stat package that basically made it have no competition. People still use it in scrims and control today because it's that good. It was something you could get from Gambit back in the day or the Reckoning, and some people farmed their entire life for this thing and never got the roll. I got two really, really good rolls, which you'll see me dismantle both of them coming up. And this one was not so hard to say goodbye to, I gotta say. It just became so overused that it was not fun for me to use and not fun for me to see other people use it either. So letting go of it was really not that hard. It was quite literally a plague upon the Crucible for years. So the fact that the spare rations era finally ended with sunsetting, I think is a very good thing. Okay, the year 1 Silicon Neuroma. This thing was something I actually never got until like last year because, I don't know, I guess it never dropped for me, but I always thought it was one of the coolest snipers out there. It was one of the first ones that we saw that had opening shot, and I remember seeing some scrims back in the day of people who would use Bottom Dawn to get that Phoenix Dive heal, and then they would use this sniper. And it was just such a cool gun. It was like one of the first like cool snipers where I was like, man, if I had that, I would be cool too. And I just never got it. The frame is super cool, sound is cool, the perks are cool, and I think it might actually be coming back to us. So not too hard to let go of this one, and I hope I'll see it in the future. Okay, Pribina D may be one of my favorite hand cannons in the entire game. I honestly can't remember where this thing comes from. I think it's just some goofy like year 1 drop, and then you could get random rolls of it in Forsaken, but just the huge chunky model and the ridiculous reload and the huge damage it can put out with kill clip is just, it makes it one of my favorite guns in the whole game. It is ridiculous, and I absolutely love it. This one was really hard for me to part with just for the fact that you could get such funny clips with it, and I don't have any guarantee that the model or the feel of it is coming back in the future, but I hope it does. The clips I did get with it were super fun, and I think it's one of the best guns to boast that hand cannon power fantasy of just like landing one huge damage shot, like just this crack sound. It takes away half somebody's health bar, or like one taps them if they're a tiny bit weak, if you have like kill clip and one other damage boost or something. It's a ridiculously chunky hand cannon that brings me a lot of joy, and I think it has one of the slowest reloads in the game. It also kind of has like this Borderlands look to me, which I think is super fun when you can get that in Destiny, like that sort of black outline around it and just the comical look and feel of it too. This is one of those ones I always really wanted to do like a long live commentary with, but like so many others, there's just never enough time. So I had my fun with it and made a goofy fusion rifle Pribina video, and that's enough for me. So without further ado, here's the perfect clip. Hopefully we see this model come back in the future, but if not, I will always remember the Prib. Ridiculous hand cannon. Absolutely awesome. Okay, here's a throwback, the year 1 Pleiades Corrector, the ARC version with a static roll. This is probably the oldest weapon in my entire vault. I don't know why I kept it. I think it was because I thought it was like basically an equivalent of Mida Multi-Tool because it had the same RPM and it had that lightweight bonus. So I always really wanted to put together a build of like, this is the energy Mida, but just never had any time. And then it just kind of transcended into that trophy realm where I was like, well, this is so old, I can't ever delete this because it's so funny. Oh, also, I think it looked a lot like Tlaloc from Destiny 1, and that was one of my favorite scout rifles, and probably a big reason why I got connected to the Warlock class, because you could only get Tlaloc on Warlock, and it synergized really nicely with Sunsinger too. Alright, another scout rifle, Patron of Lost Causes. This one is from Season of the Dawn. It was that Saint 14 themed season and themed weapons. They looked super cool. They had this like shiny metal aesthetic with like little sharp points on them and stuff like that, and just had this like really sleek, stylish look. I kept this explosive payload full auto Patron, and I think it had a swappable perk to Vorpal in it too, because I farmed it from the Sundial activity, which was like one of the 6v6 activities you got with one of the seasons. I just thought it was always one of the coolest looking and coolest sounding scouts, and had so much potential with that full auto explosive payload because it was just almost impossible to return fire due to the flinch, and the fast firing scouts at one time were actually really good. It was just another one of those things that I thought was super cool, could be super fun, and then just sat in my vault forever and was eclipsed by other things. So I never really got a chance to use it that much, and then it got sunset, but it was fun to use it briefly before saying goodbye. Parcel of Stardust. This is a lightweight shotgun with max range and opening shot. I think you might have been able to get threat detector too, so it was like one of the best lightweight shotguns out there. It had that Mindbender's Ambition model, which was just like small, and I think a lot of people just really like. It's that classic shotgun look with some cool hive runes on the side. I farmed this one a bunch from the Menagerie activity, along with Austringer and Beloved, of course. And I finally got that max range opening shot roll that I was going for, which was incredibly powerful. And like using it today, it was really surprising how good this lightweight is. I don't think you can get similar feeling things to this anymore. Like it can just kind of map people sometimes. I think it's one of the most underrated guns from Forsaken, and I just wish I had had more time to use it, or more reason to use it rather, because I think it kind of got eclipsed by other things in the kinetic slot. I also love the fact that it was so farmable in the Menagerie, because you could like really easily target farm stuff there, and for a while in the Menagerie you could actually get like double loot too, which was kind of cool. But anyway, yeah, cool shotgun. Would have been fun, but never had the time and just sat in my vault. So that's a delete right there. the Orchid, the Kindled Orchid, is an absolute legendary hand cannon. You could get Kill Clip and Rampage on this thing, so if you were farming forges and you got the curated roll, then you would get Kill Clip and Rampage on this along with Drop Mag, and that means you could just like 2-tap people with a 140, or go on these ridiculous sprees in Control where you would just get 1 kill, reload quickly with Drop Mag, and then just go on an absolute tear as you stacked Rampage up. The only problem was you couldn't really get that many bullets in the magazine, but if you put Rampage spec on, which I think came out at the same time that Kindled Orchid came out, then you could keep Rampage up a little longer. It was one of the most fun snowballing weapons that you could get, and even if you got a different random roll in the forges, it was still just a really, really good 140 to pair with whatever you want. Astral Horizon, Revoker, so many different options. And at the time it was a 150 too, which made it really, really good. Anyway, this was always another one that just sat in my vault as a trophy and as a promise that maybe one day I'd do a live commentary and show its snowballing potential, but just never really had the time or energy. It's a super cool looking hand cannon, cool sounds, great stats. And I love that sort of like chunky sight that made it like really easy to hit people. But yeah, it kind of fell to the wayside once it was sunset, and other more reliable things really took its spot in the energy slot. Old Fashioned is a real throwback. The quick draw kill clip roll in particular is one that I really remember because I think that was the static roll back in the day. And I remember watching Holtzman use it with, I think it was the End scout rifle from Trials of the Nine. And he used it on Tether at the time, and it was that double primary meta, but he was still absolutely just able to slay out with it. It was super cool to see. It was one of the first times where I was like, wow, you know, hand cannons are good, because I was that new of a player and I just like honestly didn't realize how good they could be even in a double primary meta. But Old Fashioned was absolutely legendary in that way. One of the oldest hand cannons in the game, and then this version that you're seeing me play with now is not the static roll, but it's one that I farmed from that sundial activity because it came back as a farmable option then too. And when I got quick draw kill clip, I was super happy because that was the throwback roll. Old Fashioned was one that was always stuck in the 140 RPM archetype, so I think it was just eclipsed for almost its entire life once 150s came along. But once 150s became 140s and 140s stayed the same, I think Old Fashioned became a lot more viable, and the only reason it really wasn't used anymore was because it was sunset. Maybe it'll come back in the future though, but maybe it could come back as a 120? That could be kind of cool. Okay, Nightshade is the weapon that I first went flawless with in Trials of the Nine on PS4 when it was like 4v4 on Burnout or something, and that was the very first time I went flawless. I was like random teammates I found on some LFG website that wasn't even Discord, and I was just absolutely thrilled that I finally did that. And it was on Titan too. Anyway, I need more time to talk about Nightshade later, so there are more clips later when I pair it with Aachen. But anyway, moving on. Not Forgotten will never be forgotten, because if you just landed 2 headshots with it, then you would get one super high damage and high range shot. It was the pinnacle reward back in the day for getting the 5500 rank in the comp playlist, and it was just the most exciting thing to get after you got to 2100 and you got Luna's Howl. Going that last bit of the way to get Not Forgotten really did feel meaningful, especially if you were on console like me, which was not really easy to do, just because it was hard to move and look around with console. Playing with it on mouse and keyboard is a bit funny today, and it isn't as busted as it used to be, but back in the day, Not Forgotten and Dustrock Blues and Wardcliff Coil, that was like the loadout. Like everyone ran that and basically nothing else. It was the pinnacle loadout back in the day. So a very legendary thing that we'll never forget. Oh, Mindbenders, the shotgun, the most farmed for Nightfall reward of all time, I'm thinking. Not so hot today anymore because aggressive frames got nerfed a little bit, but Mindbenders is still incredibly good. This was the shotgun in the day, and you could just put Mindbenders on and have nothing else on, and you know, you would be fine. You didn't even need a primary weapon, it was that good. It had so much range, Quick Draw gave it 100 handling at all times, and if you were lucky enough to get the full choke or rifled barrel, plus accurized rounds and range masterwork, plus Quick Draw and maybe threat detector, you had the best gun in the game. Nothing could contend with that. You could just run straight at people, and it was so good that you could do anything you wanted. Shotguns worked differently back in the day, and there was really no reason to run any other shotgun but this. Spare benders, spare rations, and Mindbenders became the loadout for people to run in the Forsaken era. You had to, of course, farm the Fanatic Nightfall, which was kind of health gated, so it could take some time, but I don't think anybody cared. It was that good that like if you weren't devoting time to farming it every time that Nightfall came around, you were shooting yourself in the foot, because this is the only special weapon you needed. To this day, it still maps people sometimes, which I think is related to me having rifled barrel, so I'm randomly getting kind of lucky pellet spreads. But I don't know, something about this one just clicks. It was a plague of the Crucible for an eternity, and it was kind of nice to finally dismantle this thing. Imperial Decree is another menagerie reward that you could farm back in the day. I was one of the max range roll, which I got, and I just figured I'd figure out the handling later, but it was a good kinetic shotty. And you could get those cool ornaments on it that made it look like it was from Destiny 1. So this thing was always something that I really wanted to make work because I just thought it looked so cool, and I just never had the opportunity to. So rest in peace, Imperial Decree. You had the right roll going for you, and the right look and the right sound, but you just fell to the wayside. Maybe we'll see those ornaments come back in the future though, that would be cool. Especially for Beloved, I want that one back. Oh, Hammerhead was my baby. This machine gun was also from the Forges, and it was like the heavy weapon choice for a while. If you didn't have room to put Wardcliff Coil down there, you were putting Hammerhead down there. It was a great machine gun with plenty of range and just felt really, really easy to land headshots with. Back in the day, it was kind of just like the legendary heavy weapon that people would use. I never really target farmed it that much because you kind of just needed one Hammerhead and you'd be good, but I have fond memories of using it all the same and spending so many hours in Forges. Okay, Half Dan D, which implies the existence of Full Dan, was probably the hardest one for me to dismantle. Once I started playing with this thing, it just reminded me how much I loved auto rifles like this with the Haka aesthetic, and this scope and how hard they hit, and the long range, and the fact I had kill clip on it. It's just so much fun. It awakened a new love in auto rifles for me that has sort of transferred over to Soros Verse these days, which is something I've been playing with a ton, and it's just super fun. This roll of Half Dan D, which was pretty rangy and had kill clip and outlaw, is something that sat in my vault through so many levels of purges because I just always thought it would be awesome to make live commentaries with it, and just never had the time. There was always something else to do. Now I think there's a chance that Half Dan or a frame like it might come back in the future, which is good because I just love the look and sound so much, but the time I did get to spend with Half Dan was an absolute blast. I think there's something so special about auto rifles where the tracing aim is just like a very different skill and a different feel than hand cannons. Hand cannons are all about kind of like, you know, flicking onto your target's head every so often and just clicking heads like, you know, 3 or 4 times and then you get a kill. It feels kind of easy, honestly, but auto rifles are much different and much harder for me, especially because I'm still kind of new to mouse and keyboard aim, which you can probably tell. But tracing aim is just something that feels really, really fun, especially on auto rifles with a low fire rate because you're just kind of like doing this weird, like jittery, like chunky tracing aim. I think Half Dan was also just a random drop at the time, so it felt pretty special to get this really cool and interesting weapon and get a good roll in it as a random drop. But yeah, the fun I had with this one of just, you know, like crouching, getting that high impact benefit of just like landing crits from very, very far away. One of the most fun experiences. I really hope we see something like this in the future from Destiny, and I'm sure there's plenty of Half Dan fans out there. And you know, it'd be really cool is if we got something in the future called the Full Dan. I think that would complete a prophecy for a lot of people. Ancient Gospel is really good, and I have some great rolls on it. I think the look and the sound is pretty cool, but it's maybe a little bit too chunky and cartoony for me, but it's a really interesting Vex weapon from the Garden of Salvation raid. It's pretty hard to farm, but I had 2 rolls on it that both had rangefinder, and I did have a good period of time to use this with controller back in the day. I remember playing a lot of Showdown on controller with Astral Horizon and Gospel and my friend Leo, and I was on the bubble, and it was just a good time.
Oh wow, that was a blast. Holy shit.
Gospel's a fantastic weapon and still is, but in the energy slot, it's just not really something I want to use compared to other hand cannons, to be honest. Anyway, this one I certainly had my fun with, but it was a good example of how it's just never going to get picked considering all of the other cool energy weapons that are out there. Definitely fun to feel lucky in getting those drops, but I'm pretty much just always going to use like Palindrome or Igneous Hammer or whatever else, or even Soros Verse for that matter. But yeah, cool gun, just couldn't break through to the inventory and just 2 god rolls sat in my vault for an eternity, so that's a delete from me. Good bone structure? More like god bone structure. That's a Cammy Cakes joke, I'm sorry.
He's got wards, he's got a shield, he's getting a free res. Nice. He's just, nice.
Good bone structure is one of the best slug shotguns in the game to this day. It is now in direct competition with Philo, which is not Sunset, and I have a really good Philo roll, so this thing just kind of ended up not getting used for a while, which is too bad. Slug shotguns didn't really get any room to shine for quite some time due to how powerful aggressive frame spread shotguns were for so long, but good bone structure I knew was always one of the best shotguns in the game. It's just for a while I didn't have the skill or the time to use it, but when I put this thing back on to try it out before deleting it, I almost didn't delete it. Like I almost couldn't. It was that good. It felt like different than Philo in some way. And looking at the stats, I honestly, to this day, I'm not really sure why. But just the ease with which it lands headshots and like hipfire headshots too, even without hipfire grip, is just stunning. It felt like one of the best slug shotguns in the entire game to me. But the fact I'm keeping my Philo, I just couldn't justify keeping this one. Really, really hard to let it go. I would have loved to do like an hour of live commentaries with this thing because it just felt that good. But alas, I gotta move forward. And Philo is my pick for the future. I am really excited for future legendary slug shotguns in the energy slot though, particularly. Especially ones that can get that high range, opening shot, high handling, and still have high aim assist, which is kind of hard to get these days. Dustrock Blues is one of the guns I have spent the longest farming for, maybe even longer than Tatara Gaze. At the time, there were only 2 lost sectors that were like the most efficient way to farm it. So I remember like I'd get home from work and I'd be like, well, time to sink a few hours into farming lost sectors to get Dustrock Blues. It was absolutely brutal, and I spent so long trying to get a good roll this thing, and I never did. And then I finally got a good one when Menagerie came out and you could target farm it, but that still took forever too. Anyway, that's definitely one of the reasons it was so painful to dismantle this one, because it was such a good roll that I spent forever trying to get. It was rifle barrel accurized, full auto, range masterwork, threat detector, which in hindsight was like really, really good at the time, and I don't think I even realized why. But yeah, this one holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts because it was one of the first Forsaken guns we got. It was actually dropping randomly before Forsaken came out, which was kind of funny. And then of course, once it did come out and people started getting good rolls, it was like the choice of shotgun loadout. Like Not Forgotten, Dustrock Blues, or Luna's Howl and Dustrock. That was the only thing people ran. It was that good. Look and sound wise, this one has one of my favorite aesthetics of all time. So it's pretty hard to say goodbye to it, and I hope this aesthetic comes back in a different shotgun in the future. And actually, the one time I did play Destiny D&D, Dustrock was one of my 2 weapon choices because I just thought it was so cool. Thank you to Adric for making me this cool little Dustrock card. I think I still have it. I don't know, I'll go look for it after I finish recording this. The Duke. Rest in peace, Duke. I really hope this thing comes back as a 120. We got this model to come back in the Survivor's Epitaph, but I really want to see this thing in a 120. Duke was one of like the first hand cannons where people realized that 110s could be good before they got converted to 120s, because you'd get like Rampage and Opening Shot or Rampage Kill Clip on this thing, and then it had all these cool perk nodes. Like you could get like 1 column of 3 perks, then 1 statically rolled perk, and then another column of 3 random perks, and then a static rolled perk. It was just a really unique little weapon, and it could do such big damage that you could just go on these really cool tears with it and get these like huge like 7th columns rolling because of all the damage boosts you could get going on it. Like I said, I think it was one of the first weapons where we realized how good those slow firing, hard hitting hand cannons were, and that paired with the sound and the aesthetic just made Duke a really, really fun and good choice. Unfortunately, it got sunset, but for a while it was just one of those like cool random Crucible drops that everyone got a bunch of all the time. I had a lot of fun with this one in my survival playlist journeys recently, but just couldn't justify keeping it compared to the other Kinetic 120s that I want to keep. So anyway, let's pour one out for the Duke. Absolutely legendary hand cannon, one of the best of all time, and I hope we see something like it in the future. Thanks for your service, Duke. Dead Man Walking is a nifty little sidearm, also from the Forges. I think it was one of those random Forge drops, or maybe you could target it. I don't know, I just kept getting random Dead Man Walking drops. It's a Suros auto fire frame, so you just hold down the trigger and it fires a bunch, and I think I got really high range on this one, which was still not really enough to make it any good, and that paired with my poor aim on mouse and keyboard for tracking something firing this fast just makes it kind of tough for me to use these days, but it was still really fun to take a spin down memory lane. I kept this roll forever because it was just so rangy, and I was always like, oh, that'll be so good to like pair with a sniper rifle or something, and then I just never did. So it was just kind of a cool trophy of like something pretty rare and ancient that I kept in my vault, but it was just not used forever. Anyway, super nifty little gun. I hope this black armory aesthetic comes back to us in the future, of that sort of like machined, like dark, smooth metal look. Very, very cool. But for now, we're saying goodbye to Dead Man Walking. Cheers. Oh god, Bygones, that one really hurt to dismantle. I spent so much time playing with Bygones. Not this roll, I think I dismantled my roll that I did have all that time on, but this was the exact same roll, just I think like randomly rolled with a little bit more range. You could get it as a static drop from the Drifter as like a Pinnacle playlist reward, full auto and then kill clip, and it was just so good on controller, an absolute laser beam. And then you could get high cals or ricochet and just, you know, do anything you want. It had such a cool look and plenty of cool ornaments, and I think I just basically had it on on when I was playing controller, like in my back pocket at all times to switch to. I played so much survival with it, and it was just always there for me.
That's way out there.
Got him.
A womboat over there. He's on the
Stairs. Got him.
What? Pythons, what the fuck?
Redeemer's behind. He's slow.
I'm watching for him.
Got him. He's dead. He's knocked. Oh.
Anyway, spent a ton of time on this one, but just can't justify keeping it around when I have other kinetic pulses that I like to use a whole lot more. But the sound and look are absolutely prime. Rest in peace, Bygones. Breachlight was another one that was really, really hard to dismantle because the look and the sound are just extremely cool. Plus, it was something that I farmed ad nauseum in the sundial activity, especially when the sundial was giving like double or triple drops at one point. There was like this bug for a while in the beginning where you could get a bunch of drops from the sundial. So I just target farmed Breachlight exclusively because I just thought it was like the coolest sidearm in the game. And using it again today, I think it still was. It was really, really good and hard to dismantle. The aggressive frame paired with that look and sound and the rolls you could get on it, mine was, I think, super high range with multi-kill clip, and then I could swap to Vorpal, I think, or something like that, because you could get multiple perk nodes if you were farming the right one. Also, you could pair it with energy snipers because it's kinetic, and I think the energy snipers back in the day were the ones that I was most connected to, like Tatara Gaze. But yeah, Breachlight's another one of those super cool Saint 14 weapons from back in the day, and was honestly really, really good for quite some time, but just kinda got eclipsed by other stuff. Would have loved to do some more live commentaries with this one, but there's just not enough time in the day. I hope we see more aggressive frame sidearms in the future like this, which just fire those 2 high damage bullets at kind of a slow fire rate. I think they're super unique and cool. There were a couple others in the Forsaken era too, but something about Breachlight was just always like next level awesome to me. I only have one clip of Bone Chiller where I don't get a single headshot, which is hilarious, but Bone Chiller was probably one of the most hardest things for me to dismantle, but then I realized I could still farm it in the future because it comes from Europa. I think it is the coolest looking slug in the game and coolest sounding, and there is not another shotgun that I think has a cooler aesthetic. I'll probably go back and farm more of this one in the future, but I didn't really have like an optimal roll, so it didn't feel that bad about letting it go and maybe getting better in the future. Or there's just gonna be other energy slugs that are gonna always eclipse it for me, like Philo, if we're being honest. Oh, beloved. This thing just ran the Crucible for years, just like spare rations and mindbenders. Like, those were the 3 weapons that people used, basically. Beloved was the most broken sniper other than Revoker in Destiny history because it just had a low zoom, very high aim assist, pretty good range, and you could get quick draw snapshot on it, which just carried it into the pinnacle of snipers for people. Some people even liked it more than Revoker because it was that good. It's so good that it is still used to this day in like scrims and tournaments and high-end PvP because you just like, you can't beat it in some ways. On mouse and keyboard, I'm terrible with it, but back in the day on controller, you would be called a cheater with Beloved if you were just even marginally good at using it because it was that powerful. Honestly, I'm glad to see it go because it was so dominant, and it still kind of is, but the hardest reason for me to dismantle this one wasn't because I have a really good roll, it was because the ornament was so cool, and I really hope we get that ornament back.
Bygones half dad, because just putting it in.
Oh, yes! Yes!
What?
The Beloved ornament.
What?
Yes.
Nice, dude.
Oh my god.
Congrats.
Oh,
That's amazing.
finally.
Valiant was a pretty cool weapon from the forges as well that you could get randomly, and it was just always an aggressive frame shotgun that I wanted to, you know, use more and just never had the reason to. It had pretty low handling and not terribly high reliability, but it looked really cool. It had that nice toil and trouble sound of the chunk, which is pretty awesome. And it's just an aggressive frame shotgun that I always wish I had more time for. Maybe we'll see the frame in the future though. I know I say that about all of them, but there's just so many cool silhouettes from back in the Forsaken era. Badlander is one of the very first god rolls I got back in the day because I got the max range and like full auto and slide shot, which just made it like the fastest firing, like most aggressive in-your-face shotgun of all time. It was super fun to go back and use this one and feel the love for rapid fires again, but a sunset rapid fire is just not really something I'm ever going to use. I absolutely love the look of this one, just like Dustrock Blues. I think it's one of the coolest looks in the game, and it was one of those trophies that I just always kept around because I thought it was so unique and interesting, but just never really had the time or energy to put many kills on it. And unfortunately, during its heyday, it was always squashed out by things like Mindbenders, which had like even higher handling than it, but did more damage. Anyway, cool gun, but just unfortunately never a reason to use it. Bad news is a 120 RPM hand cannon. Well, it used to be a 110 that dropped from the Black Armory Forges back in the day. I just got this random drop, which was kind of cool. It was rangefinder, max range, and kill clip. So the frame and those perks were sort of my first introduction to a really hard-hitting hand cannon with the Crimmelsdagger model or silhouette. And then it just had some kind of, cool extra Black Armory looks to it. I think this is a great example of one that, on paper should have been like one of the top picks for a while, but it was just always snuffed out by other things being much, much better. It was definitely one of those trophies that I just ended up leaving in my vault forever and always thinking, man, I should use this for like a live commentary or some fun comp gameplay or something like that, but just never got around to it. Sat there for probably 2 years ever since I got it. Just immediately into the vault and ignored forever. The main reason of this one being sad to let go was just because I always thought it was so cool, but it was just always like, I'm just going to use Crimmel's Dagger or a different 120. So I think that was the hardest part, was just knowing that like these other things were always just so much better than it. So I think it's a kind of a good example of that, where it's like something might be good on paper, but if all these other things are just, more popular or really eclipse it in so many ways, then nobody's going to use it. Atalanta D is a really unique little SMG, has the Antiope model and feel and archetype to it and everything, but it has that big old silencer on the front, which is kind of funny. It was another Black Armory Forge drop that I kept around forever just because they were such unique and interesting weapons, but I just never really had a chance to use Atalanta because Antiope was around. I think the silencer was such a cool, unique feature, even if it didn't change the gun at all. But yeah, this archetype of SMG was just the play back in the day. It was awesome. Had that sort of Black Armory exclusive feel of the look and the fact that you couldn't get them very easily. And once again, I just always thought it'd be a really fun live commentary gun to do, but I just never got the chance. I even had a good roll too. But yeah, if I'm not going to use it, I don't deserve it. So I sent it back into the ether. Astral Horizon to this day is still an incredible shotgun. And when this thing first came out, my very first roll, I got the max range quick draw roll, which was just like stunningly exciting at the time. I remember being so happy that I could just not have to farm this and I could just go use it right away. It came out right when Trials came out too, and I got Celerity on it, so I was pretty much just ready to jump in right away and have fun with this incredible shotgun. I actually paired it mostly with Fighting Lion, and the reason it was so hard to dismantle this one was because it was just that, high range, high handling, big burst damage weapon with rifled, and it was the thing I paired with Lion to get my Flawless Confidence card, which for me I think was the biggest achievement in all of my Destiny PvP experience, because I did it during Season of the Worthy when Trials of Osiris first came out, and it was just plagued by cheaters. Or just by really, really good teams because nobody else wanted to play it. Trials of Osiris had a rough start, but the fact that I was able to get that Flawless Confidence card and thus the Flawless title using Fighting Lion and Astral is probably one of my most proud claim to fames, and it's why I still just run that ancient Flawless title that isn't even gilded to this day, because it was just so hard to do that and so much fun, and it was like sort of a really important formative part of Destiny PvP for me. It's also kind of fun to hear people talk about it to this day, like in Dado's tier list of the most prestigious titles you can get. Like, to hear him rank that as #1 feels really good, because I agree. I think it is the hardest title that anyone could ever get, and it just feels really special that I did it, worked my ass off for it, and I got it. Shout out to my teammates Django and Sven, who were in my fire team on that Flawless game, where we matched some extremely good opponents using busted stuff, but we just were better. Cheers.
Killed it.
Oh,
Nice.
Sorry, my mic was muted. Y'all are 32.
Pushing table, pushing table.
Okay. Got one. Sit.
That's the suit.
Yes! Yes! Holy shit! Yep, that's great. I yelled "that's it" to my mom and she knew. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Looking back on that makes me laugh a lot, but it was a very good memory, and it's like the only thing that I enjoy bragging about. But it was really hard. I'm proud of us. Anyway, I know the Fighting Lion community is watching right now, and I just want to say I love you all. Have a great day. Okay, moving on. This one brought my friend Adric a lot of pain when I dismantled it, because they know how precious Antiope is to me and how long it took me to finally get that random roll that was comparable to the year 1 Antiope roll. I had Slideways and Kill Clip on this one, and I just loved it so much. Antiope was like one of my most used guns back in the day. I just thought it was one of the coolest little SMGs, and it was so fun, and I never felt any shame in using what people regarded as like one of the most meta-defining weapons, because it was just so fun and cool looking and cool sounding. It was another one of those guns from back in the day where like in its heyday, it was like one of the only things that anyone was using because it was just that good. It had ridiculous range, and once you got kill clip going, it was just a snowball machine and you couldn't be stopped. I think this one is a great example too though about how like this vault cleaning makes sense to me, because this god roll antiope that like means a lot to me and was like really fun to use is something that's had in my vault for like 2 years unused. Like once I got it, antiope's heyday had already passed, and like I'd already kind of had my fun with antiope, so I let go of the sunset version because I just, you know, I didn't want to use that. I didn't need to. So when I got this random roll of it that was really comparable to that famous year 1 roll, it just like didn't matter because it was just sitting there forever. And it made me kind of sad because it was such a special weapon to me that I always really wanted to go out and use and like remember the good old times with, and I never did. So sending it back into the ether, good times with antiope. I'll always remember it fondly, even if I don't have this copy of it. All right, the Aachen, the red Aachen, void energy, blue sniper rifle with snapshot. And to this day, I think if you see somebody running a Aachen, especially a void one, which was actually pretty hard to get if you didn't like keep your version around, because for some reason you couldn't pull it from collections for a while. So like you had to farm this random lost sector like over and over and over again to get this random like blue sniper. But anyway, if you did, like I did, then it was a pretty prestigious thing to have. And now I can pull it from collections, so it's not so hard to let it go. But this Aachen just kind of has some legendary status into the Destiny PvP community. I think partly thanks to Camicakes' community, because he really popularized how fun and cool this weapon is. But yeah, the reason I think this one was hard to let go of was because I just never really had time to use it a whole lot. It was a really precious trophy, and it was actually a pretty good sniper rifle too. If I ever need to style on somebody, I'll probably pull it from collections in the future, but the fact it took so long to get made it pretty hard to delete this one. Also, I do pair it with Nightshade here, as you can see, and this is that Nightshade roll that's really comparable to my year 1 static roll Nightshade, which was the gun that I went flawless with for the first time. That is a very, very precious memory to me, because it was the first time that I was like, you know what, no, I'm gonna try at this and I'm gonna get better, and it paid off. So running Nightshade and Aachen is sort of a very powerful pairing for me of 2 ancient weapons from back in the day that like have meaning because I have assigned meaning to them more than they mean anything to the Destiny PvP's community memory. So pairing them together and just kind of pretending like it's year 1 again was a really fun experience, and getting these clips was some of the most fun I had in this whole process. It was pretty hard to let go of them, but I had my fun, and I can always pull Aachen from the collections in the future. Anyway, cheers to these 2. Rest in peace. You were 2 of the oldest friends in the vault, and it was an absolute joy to pair these together, get some clips, and remember those good old days. 10 paces paired with Fighting Lion using quick draw and opening shot on it is a perfect example of a gun that I was so excited when I finally got and then just never used. Partly because it got sunset, and partly because I was just, you know, pairing better things with Lion. But that combo of Lion with a quick draw opening shot hand cannon in the kinetic slot is something that I really wanted to do for so long, and then when I finally got it, I just never had the time or energy or like competitive reason to use it. Going back to it now, it was super fun, and it's kind of nice to be like, yeah, you were right, like this pairing is really, really good. Once you fire Lion, you get that Chimera perk going, and then that paired with opening shot just means you can't miss your first headshot unless you're like way off target. It was a super fun combo and made me remember how good Lion is and how fun it is to pair with these combinations with Chimera. It saddens me that I just never gave this combo a shot because it's really good. Maybe in the future, if we get a nice kinetic opening shot hand cannon with high range, I might try it out. But for now, time to let go of the 10 paces, another cool Forsaken Era weapon that I just never got around to. Rest in peace. Alright, we're breaking alphabetical order for the last one and going with the Regix's broadsword / claymore. I never got the claymore. That would be amazing if I had, but I was just not good enough at the time. And also, to be fair, competitive was really hard back in the day. The claymore was a gun that looks and functions identical to the broadsword that you could get back in the first year of Destiny 2. It was a high impact pulse rifle with Outlaw and Desperado, and that was the first time we saw Desperado, which is such a cool perk. It made this gun extremely good in PvE and also quite good in PvP for going on streaks, but I think the real appeal of the Claymore was the fact that it was so hard to get at the time. Maybe this gets a little bit exaggerated because the time has passed so much by now, but back in the day, the competitive mode was, I guess, more of what you would call a competitive mode, where if you lost matches, you went down in rank by a considerable amount, and if you won matches, you went up in rank by a kind of small amount. So it took a really long time to grind up to 2100, which I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure 2100 points was where you had to be in order to qualify to get the Claymore. Could have been higher, But all I know is even at the time, 2100 felt really, really difficult. It was 4v4, double primary. You needed a really coordinated team in order to beat the very few other people who were playing that mode back in the day who were all very good. Anyway, when the broadsword came along in Forsaken, it functioned the exact same way with Outlaw and Desperado, but you could get random rolls on it, which made it a little bit better. It had much less prestige because there was no competitive playlist requirement, and all it really took was just playing an absolutely exhausting amount of 6v6 modes, or Rumble. It did still take a very long time to get, but it was just more of a time commitment than a skill commitment. Anyway, I got a ton of randomly rolled broadswords, but I just only ended up keeping this single one for quite a while, mostly as just a little keepsake because I have such fond memories of what the Claymore was, what Destiny Year 1 PvP meant to me and a lot of people, and it was just a fun memory and a really good gun. I think the Claymore and broadsword model and sound was probably my first gun where I was really like, okay, the look and sound of this thing is my favorite ever and I have to have it. And I just couldn't end up getting the Claymore, which is too bad, but that's okay. Maybe we'll see this gun model and sound effect come back in the future, or something with a similarly legendary and like memorable, iconic competitive playlist reward come back in the future, which would be really, really cool. Also, if you see anyone out in the wild with that emblem that you could only get if you obtain the Claymore, you should be very, very afraid, because that means they're very good at PvP, they've been around forever, and there's only like 7,000 of them in the entire world, I think, which is super, super cool. Anyway, I've said this about almost every one of these honorable mentions, but this one is especially true. I really hope this frame comes back in the future, because it sounds cool, it looks cool, and it's just awesome and memorable. It was really, really hard to let some of those go. It was like saying goodbye to an era, but it was high time I did. Anyway, here it is for the moment you've all been waiting, The Purge. In this upcoming series of clips I edited of the deletion night, you'll notice this is only about 400 items, and not every single one of them is a certified grade A beef god roll, because I'd already done a few more gentle purges before this one, but still, I'm about to show you a 7-year veteran of Destiny destroying everything he'd worked to accumulate. So here's the night I actually went through with it all and burned the whole thing down. Cheers.
Gjerda, do you have a list of what you're gonna delete? Or
yeah, all of this.
384 items.
Every single thing in there?
Yep.
Why are you doing this before Witch Queen again?
I just want to be pure. First up, an easy one.
I just want to go on record for the video. I think this is a mistake.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Hi there. It's your boy Cernade, Scrooge McDuck, as you've heard me called before, and
you think this is a mistake.
I tried to put an injunction on this, and it didn't happen.
This part doesn't hurt as much yet.
No.
Yeah, the armor I don't really care about.
No.
It's gonna start to get bad though.
It's gonna be
that one
pretty
hurt.
painful.
That one hurt. That one hurt right there.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, don't care.
Goodbye, Doonies. These ones, not so painful.
Yeah. I mean, they're honestly, it's a 67 roll, but they're stand-asides. Who cares?
Yeah.
That one hurts a little bit.
Yeah. However, I am wearing these, which is nice. Which fit, like, the reason I use those is because they fit a build.
Yeah.
But,
They fit your build. Oh, that's such a bad roll, though.
Yeah. Remember when these were busted?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh gosh, that meta.
End up an era. I think this was the Zur roll. Yeah, way back in the day, like the one time he sold transversives.
For the record, everyone go get that timeline. The timeline's vertex. It's very good. Please go pick it up.
And the hunter legs.
Are there hunter legs? I'll go grab them.
22 recov, 23 intellect, 65 total
Please.
rolls.
Yeah,
please.
Great.
Do want.
At some point, I'll probably have to check the postmaster too. Make sure I'm not overflowing materials.
How much room for golf balls do you have?
I mean, you
Just
wouldn't
a
have gotten
couple
golf balls
prisms.
from any of that.
Yeah.
Well,
exotics.
from exotics,
Yeah,
but
a couple. Yeah.
If their master works, you do.
Oh, okay.
You get one golf ball back.
Oh, I see.
Wow,
It's
that
a way
ring
to
hurt. What the
keep on
fuck?
stashing them if you're really a crazy person.
I don't waste my golf balls.
This no, does hurt to watch. Oh my god.
No, I know. I'm aware.
Yeah.
Gjerda, what led you to do this, man?
Psychopathy.
That one.
Psychopathy mainly, but no. I just have not used any of this shit for like well over a year, and that's just something I don't like a whole lot. Like in IRL too, I just get rid of things if I don't use them because I just don't like how they take up space and just kind of hang around. It just makes me a lot happier to it just makes me a lot happier to just like have a really clean environment and minimalist and just have like a couple things that I really, really love rather than like a lot of things that I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll use it one day.
It's ironic that you're doing this for the love of certain things in the juxtaposition to the pain that you're causing us by doing it.
That's, very introspective. Very true.
Yeah.
Also, the Hunter Gauntlets are quite good as well.
Yeah, they are.
Edzer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're like a 63 roll, but my Hunter's also destitute, so.
Yeah, true.
But they have 25 recap on them, so.
A broke hoe, so to speak.
Yep.
Well,
video.
I don't know about that.
I'm a lot more open-minded about sub 65 rolls now that I have D2 armor picker, so it just fits in a certain build. It's a lot more valuable to me now, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many prisms can you hold in the Postmaster?
Same 50.
50?
Oh, I mean, 10 for the golf balls, 50 for the...
Okay. So
I get 50 per character.
Back in.
It's like meat's back on the menu, boys.
Damn right.
Next time, wait to pull the golf balls because as long as they're still in your Postmaster, you can craft more.
Ooh, yeah. That's a good point. Oops. Yeah, this part isn't that painful actually. So I'm like, what is all this
Like
garbage
the armor,
anyway?
I think the armor is just too jumbled to actually care about.
Yeah.
Like it has too much to it to actually give a damn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel, alright.
You ever just think about things that smell good?
No.
Not really.
That's very sweet.
I haven't smelled chocolate cake in such a long time.
Aw.
Okay, Hunter has...
Are we talking warm chocolate cake or cold chocolate cake?
I mean, just like, it's fresh, you know? Like,
yeah,
it's the first day off the pan, you know?
Be right
back. But for real though, cold chocolate cake kind of hit different though.
Yeah,
it does.
totally.
I haven't smelled garlic bread in forever, man.
Well, that's an easy fix. Just make some garlic bread.
I mean, like, no, like, I legitimately can't smell garlic bread.
You can't.
Why?
I don't understand.
I don't have a great sense of smell.
Oh no!
That this conversation makes more sense.
Yeah. Oh.
How dare you? How dare you do this?
Sorry.
We're fighting.
That one hurts. That was a really nice Ophidians.
Oh.
Okay, where's the Hunter?
Do you have an Ophidians on your Warlock?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a great roll.
3 or 4 nice pieces of armor in a row there too.
I was about to start a new hashtag.
Gjerda's canceled for deleting his vault.
Right.
Yeah.
Hashtag cancel Gjerda in the chat.
All right, page 5. We are. Oh yeah, this is year 1 armor.
I was about to ask you.
Isn't that cool? You can choose intellect or recovery.
Oh boy.
And you can put mods on it. It's kind of cool. Oh yeah, and this is, I was thinking
Why do you have this?
Because I wanted to try this like years after this was gone. Complete the Nightfall at or above the bonus.
Oh,
I was curious if it would automatically masterwork it then. Never got the time though.
That was Gabe. Once again, that is Gabe.
Gabriel, welcome. Ooh, that's a nice one. Damn. Is the stream quality okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It lags a bit whenever you're like out and looking around the tower, but I think that's just the tower never actually got optimized to run well. Because you always lose like 20. Everyone loses 20 to 30 frames when they're in the tower for reason.
You might get better quality in the helm.
Oh, yeah, max. It's not gonna matter though, because don't have masterwork stuff.
Ben is gonna go and grind out the blind well for, I guess, drops. If anyone wants to join, if not, it's fine. Stasis will kill everything.
Right on. I had to be on Warlock to do the weapons part because it's just I need to feel comfortable with myself and in this sorrow that's about to occur. Okay. On to the weapons. Year 1 Quick Fang. Goodbye. Year 1 Crown Splitter. Goodbye. Prospector. That used to be a thing.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
I remember doing the Darcy Catalyst. That took a while. Remember when you had
Darcy's an overcomplicated ruler.
Good to know.
Remember when you had to do the what is it, escalation protocol for this catalyst?
You had to hit every boss with it.
And I missed finishing the catalyst by 1 week before it was sunset. So
It was time locked? Oh.
yeah, the catalyst for Worldline.
It was time locked and sunset, and then it was sunset.
Yeah.
It took 4 or 5 weeks to finish it. 4 or 5 weeks to get it.
Yeah. And I started it like 4 or 3 weeks before it was removed. The activity was removed from the game that you needed to do it. Oh well. Man, killing that hammerhead is gonna hurt.
I still have mine, and I really don't need a hammerhead because I'm not even gonna use it in PvP.
Yeah.
But I still don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Countdown.
Hello. We are on page 5. 200 items left to go.
Oof.
We haven't gotten to like the real painful weapons though.
Come yet, so I'm just waiting.
Wendigo.
Oh, Wendigo.
I love you, Wendigo.
Oh no. No.
This one is miss you 21%. No. And a hammer.
Never even locked it.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah, that one hurt. Damn. Okay. Battlers. Damn.
You really don't have a spot for that one? Goddamn.
Not anymore. This, oh god. This, I'm reconsidering losing this.
There's no way you're deleting this. There's no way. Especially included. There's no fucking way.
I already.
What other sniper rolls do you have? Because like that one's good, but it's still just a sniper.
Yeah, that's my thought process. So what I was gonna keep for snipers, let me look. I was gonna in the energy slot. I was gonna keep Frozen Orbit, which is what I would want to use if I get into sniping, I think. And I would keep Uzume, which is a snapshot roll, which is really
Makes
good.
sense. Like 1,000 Yard Stare is good, but it's just Levitt the third.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, while I have everyone here, I'm just gonna rip this band-aid off right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
no.
Boom.
Got rid of mine. I've never loved any sniper as much as I love my first orbit, so I don't even care about that gun.
I lived through the worst of it. It's good to see it gone.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I was like, oh god, that's gonna hurt. Let's come back to that.
Wait, what were you just about to delete?
The Sojourners.
Okay, there's no way you're deleting this, right? What the fuck is wrong with you?
No.
Gjerda.
Oh, that finality. Oh,
Gjerda.
Oh my god.
Gjerda, you just deleted a perfect roll of one of the best guns in the game.
I know.
You just delete a slideshot for full found verdict, as I can.
Yeah, he basically deleted your roll.
With maximum range, yeah.
Okay.
It had demo too. No, like it had demo too. That's just actually one of the best guns in the game, and it's just gone now.
I'm sorry. I'm not that sorry.
Why that one?
Because it didn't.
Literally why? I'm like actually confused on this one. Hang on,
Because
what the
Chad's
fuck?
gonna start rioting.
Probably has better shotguns to use.
Tell me it didn't bring you joy.
That can't be true.
I have a
better one.
I have a good
Yeah.
time lost found verdict. I don't know that it would measure up to that one, but it would be pretty close. It depends on who you ask.
Then why not delete that one?
Wait.
This is the one I'm keeping.
What?
You're an idiot.
Yeah, I think I was still here.
I just wanted
You're just
opening
like
shot.
That's significantly worse.
Sorry.
Can I get a riot in chat?
Yeah, no, what the fuck?
You just like.
All right, hold up, Gjerda.
Yeah.
How about we have anyone else log onto your account to do this? Like legitimately anyone else.
I know.
Okay, Laura, you just came here. I'm gonna tell you what just happened. Accurize, range masterwork, slide shot, demo and vorpal time lost found verdict. You wanna guess where it went? It went in the fucking trash for attack mag.
And reload masterwork. Don't forget.
Reload masterwork.
Like, what?
You're the most beautiful fucking idiot I've ever known in my life.
I know. Yeah.
Just why? Like, why?
You literally had a perfect roll and you just threw it away.
Because I liked my opening shot roll more.
You can get no big shot and then delete the worst one after.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll probably farm out more later.
I'm not sure if you do know. That's our problem right now.
No, I do.
Goodbye, matchbook.
Yeah, that one
that
can just
fine.
pull again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, exotic weapons don't actually matter.
Yeah.
It's only stupid.
Can you imagine if you had to get to the drop again?
Oh god.
That's hilarious.
Goodbye,
when
Summoner.
you get to the mine vendors and the kindled orchid, that's gonna hurt.
Oh, I cannot wait for that mind mode just to be gone. You have no idea.
Oh,
No way.
No.
Yes.
I felt
keep going
nothing
on about how
that.
Mind Benders is like better than any shotgun that's come out since, and it's just not. Like it's
Yeah.
Mind Benders is good, but
Oh, this is nice.
It's
like
not,
they're
it's
better
not time
shotguns.
lost verdict. That's
No,
for
it's
damn
better.
sure.
It's better.
It's the same length.
It's the only one that can roll quick draw. It's just better.
Well, quick draw isn't as good these days, though.
yeah, quick draw got the big nerf, and I
It's
hit
not
quick
as
draw on
relevant
every.
anymore.
I hit quick draw on every single gun, regardless. So
Hang on. What the
Like-
fuck are you talking about? It still
Okay.
draws instantly, and that's all that matters.
Well, no, stow
So the thing
speed and ADS speed.
Quick charge, getting it to like 80, like for found verdict is
Mm-hmm.
well more than enough. Especially if you
yeah,
have, if
quick
you have an
quick
SMG
draw
too,
is now
then you have a 20
exactly
frames.
equal. Quick draw
Like-
is now exactly equal to 100 handling while pulling the weapon out. That's all it does now.
Yeah, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
So I think
So,
the
like-
consistent handling of
It goes
the
away after you ADS, which is
Well,
It goes
once-
away after
Or
1
after
second
like
or
a
after
second.
1
second, yeah.
it's
So,
once you
all
start
of it
ADS.
Wait. You have a better Walker, right?
No, I don't.
Gjerda?
Oh, this one. Does anyone really want to get hurt?
Yes.
What are we getting rid of?
Oh, please don't.
Please, I've been grinding all season.
Perfect.
There's gotta be a spot. I can't watch that.
Okay, hold up. Gjerda, before you finish this.
Yeah.
I get it's for a video. Can you show us what you're keeping so it might hurt a little less?
Oh, sure. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, we got spoiler alert.
Okay,
so-
hold up. Oh, we can just spoiler alert instead of like any of those guns. What the fuck do you mean?
Let me talk my shit. You just deleted a perfect peace wand for a spoiler alert.
What do you mean, Gjerda?
It's the John Wick
Are you
gun.
keeping a single piece bond?
It's no. I just don't like the look of it. This is the John Wick
Gjerda,
gun, you know?
whatever you're having, please send some my way.
Just looks so good. Anyway.
You just like it because of Shay's good? That's it? You're just not
I-
keeping a better gun just because
Yeah,
Shay's good?
and it like has the nice sound, and I
It
think it
sounds
looks
really
great.
good. I'm with you there. Yeah.
It does.
It's
yeah.
the Roderick C
I'm
sound.
sorry,
You can just
Opcom.
pull Roderick C.
Hi, I'm Bill. It's very nice to meet you. No, none
I'm
of that.
sorry you have
right
to be
now,
here
okay?
today.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
we're
welcome
not
to the
being
clan.
tested
Here's
supportive right
chaos. Yeah.
Very
What
nice
else
to
are you
meet
Sometimes-
hang on. What else are you keeping?
Sometimes people don't
Oh,
need
yeah.
support. They need yelled at when they're doing stupid things.
Yeah. Okay, let me get this Jade Rabbit out of here, and then I'll.
Okay, cool.
That's fine.
Show characters. We don't know what's on your other characters.
The problem is the
Okay, I'll go
comparison, right?
switch.
Spare rations.
Yeah, get that shit out of there. Kill that before you switch.
Yeah, actually, here.
Where's
Okay. Look at this
yeah,
roll.
fuck it up. Kill
Look
it.
at
Kill
this.
it. Kill it. Kill it.
No, dude.
It's so
I got rid of my spare rations a long time ago.
Yeah, likewise.
Get rid of it.
sounds
Kill
Beautiful,
it. Kill
right?
it. Kill it. Kill it.
Survival is still live. This is nuts.
Who cares?
Yeah, but like, I have so many better weapons now.
It's not true.
Oh,
Okay.
kill that Imperial. Kill that Imp. You gotta
Yeah.
kill that Imp.
Before I switch, I'll cure that Imperial. I love it.
Yes.
But
yes.
It was so good too. Oh,
Kill it.
in it the ornament, beautiful. Dead.
Goodbye.
The spare rations
Good fucking riddance.
makes me very happy. Yeah, I should delete their spare rations.
Yeah.
And
I cannot believe you deleted
what
a
trash
perfect found
tier
verdict.
shit that you're keeping.
Why would you?
I
whilst
think I can
deleting
get
things
better.
That are perfect. Because
That's
he's
like-
a fool. Because he's
Like,
a
your
fool.
character wasn't even full. You could have just
your
brought that.
I agree. I'm still upset about the spoiler alert. Dire for. Oh, you're keeping the Austrian? Get rid of that shit. What do you
No.
mean?
Yeah, kill the Austringer.
Never. Absolutely never.
You got rid of the spare rations.
You're
That's
getting
it.
rid of all your shit and you're keeping sunset things?
I'm keeping it
My
to
dude.
I'm keeping Tatara and Ostringer.
Hard agree on the Austringer.
Yeah.
That
That's
Austringer
not
is
even a
beautiful.
snapshot Tatara, though.
Nothing looks the same.
Yeah,
Nothing acts the same. It's still the best hand cannon.
too.
What is this She-Hulk looking ass?
Why are you keeping so many
This
sunsets?
is
Hang on,
pretty
we
nice.
need to hang on before you start.
Okay,
going
trophies
to
are
delete
okay.
shit
That's
again.
kind of the thing here. Is
Okay,
we,
what?
we need to establish that trophies are
No,
perfectly
what
fine to
the
keep.
fuck?
No, trophies are not.
Hang on, Gjerda,
when
before
you're
you
seeing
delete
the
things more.
Okay, I'm just gonna do exotics for now.
Before you delete things more, why are you keeping open slots on every character?
For leveling as I go, or as
You
I
don't need
play
to keep
more
them
this
on
season.
every character. You can just
Yeah.
You can just
I know.
put
Just
them in
need
the
it on
vault
one.
after you empty the vault.
you need.
I
Oh
two
no,
open
see, he
slots.
doesn't want to use his vault ever again. That's the thing.
I want to not use it for a little while at least, like at least like a month or so.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about like things that people should do here. We're talking about really bad ideas that Gjerda's going through with.
Okay,
Yeah.
but even still, you only need to keep 2 open slots
Yeah.
total between all 3 characters because you're only playing 1 character at a time, and you can move the gear between the
Yeah.
other 2.
It's kind of a hassle, honestly.
I swear to God.
I
I'm gonna
can't with
you.
this man.
What a fucking, that's 4 more items you could keep.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. We got,
I could be
we
convinced
got
to.
a quorum on the day 1 raid team. All in favor of booting Gjerda to day 1.
Right
I
here.
could be convinced to
Raise your fucking
keep more.
hands right now.
You're not even gonna have any items to use on day 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's
I
gonna have
will.
his shitty fall
Oh, that sudden death hurts so bad. I ran so many to try
Well,
to
that
get
was the
sudden
year.
death
That was a
roll.
year 1 version though.
Okay.
So not.
Oh, are you keeping any bows, Gjerda? You need to keep
Hey,
at least
Funky,
one
do you
bow.
want to hear pain?
Okay. I will.
You need to keep a bow because Overload bow's the
Hey,
thing
Fun-
some seasons, and you
hey,
will
Funky.
need it.
Hey, Funky, you want to hear a thing? You want
Um,
to hear a very fun thing that happened?
It is too late, Sven.
Gjerda has already
Okay,
deleted all of
Gjerda has not thought through this act of tyranny. Gotcha.
No, I can go get
Nothing
another
was thought out here? Are you kidding?
This was all thought out.
That's crazy, right?
This, I made so many lists, and I decided that I'm just going to get other people to use bows all the time.
I think that Gjerda cannot be trusted.
Okay, you're
with
not
anything.
deleting that. Hang on. Is that rapid hit? Is that post rapid hit? Are you gonna farm that raid ever again?
This? No, it's not.
Are you ever gonna touch that raid ever again? Why?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Stop. It doesn't matter what that pulse has. Desperado Messenger is a thing. It will, like, Sacred Providence simply will not be better than that. Doesn't matter what buffs they make. If one of them is bad, they'll both be bad.
Give it like 60-meter damage drop off. Like.
Well, okay, yeah, have it be a scout, then sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Go Figure had though.
I know. It was so good.
Like,
all right.
If you have like a
the 1-page vault. This is the
We're at
moment.
the last 50.
This is unreal.
Let's go.
Okay, I love Touch. That was like the one bow I ever liked.
All right, wait, real quick. Go to the Duke. I need to hold a vigil for the Duke, and I'm not doing anything else right now.
Yeah.
All right, moment of silence. Moment of silence.
Beautiful. Goodbye, fold friend.
What's the roll on that? What's the roll on that? Wait, let's get the red Drix. Let's get the red Drix out the way. What's the roll?
This is gonna hurt so bad.
All right, let's get it over with.
Okay, yeah, but you already have a messenger, so it's
Yeah,
like it's actually
it's not as bad.
like it's not only sunset, it's power crept all the shit. So.
God damn, I fucking love this gun so much. It was perfect sound, perfect look, super fun.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, and you're exchanging it for 4 slots.
Yeah.
Yeah. This thing, oh my god, I fucking love this thing. So good.
Yep.
It's so funny. The
More
reload
slots.
is hilarious.
4 slots. 4 slots.
Oh, this is the.
To level age.
Okay, there's no reason to delete this. There's no reason to delete
This
this.
is the
You should stop what you're
montage.
doing.
Okay, we'll hang on to that one for a little while. Oh, this thing is good.
You're gonna put that one on one of your characters.
Did someone leave out of rage? Okay, Hawk Moons can probably get. Okay, this is. We'll come back to that.
Well, that's a very good roll.
Yeah. Oh, this thing. I loved this thing back in the day.
Oh, the arc fleet.
The arc flavors.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god.
Hell yeah.
What's the
Angel
driver?
Bond. Ooh. Curated Twilight Oath, anybody?
Yeah, dismantle the curated Twilight Oath. Do it.
Oh, who cares?
Yeah, let's be real.
Yes.
Pretty good. Well, really good, actually.
It's better than the found verdict you kept.
That is better than the found verdict you kept.
Yeah. Oh, this one. Oh my god. I love Not Forgotten.
Actually, hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. Hear me out. Not Forgotten, if it was earned legitimately, is worth keeping. Yes?
No.
Are we good on this?
I eurned it.
Literally
legit.
couldn't care less. Especially because you can pull it from collections. No.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh,
no,
right.
I forgot.
Never mind, goodbye. Okay.
Okay. No, before you do anything, I need to say something.
Yeah, before anything else
Engelberg
happens
did.
here, there's a scene in Deadpool where it's in the credits at the beginning where there's a little thing where he says, "God's perfect idiot. I'm gonna need somebody with Photoshop. Put Yura's face."
I'll get right on that.
And give that to
I
me.
could do that
Thank you.
probably.
Thank you.
Okay, so
keeping the triple tap ambitious.
why are you getting? No, you're not getting rid of that.
Why would you get rid of that one?
That is literally that is for boss DPS, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that was actually a good DPS weapon. Why would you do that?
Because I have my other heritage.
What is your
for PvP.
We are looking at that 7th Seraph.
I mean, it's
And we
too
are
late.
going
There's nothing left. Nothing's good here anymore.
Have we seen what's on the 7th Seraph?
This?
You're not getting rid of that.
That's
Yeah.
not good. That's
That one's like,
I'm not
it's
going to
fine,
use it, to
but-
be honest. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, this one.
As far as PvP options go, I care less. It's the PvE stuff that's kind of irreplaceable.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go get a bow probably from somewhere.
Yeah, you need a bow.
Just grab the
After
blue
deleting
one from-
better bows.
Grab
Okay.
Yeah.
the blue bow from collections.
That's true.
Looks like we're farming the free Last
who
Wish
said
chest.
that?
Why are you? Oh.
No. You can't.
This was such a fun thing to pair with Fighting Lion, but I never really got to use it.
I was a Duke Fighting Lion boy.
Oh yeah. It's good.
When will they let us have Duke back?
I know.
I don't think they will. It just had too many stats.
Yeah.
It had way too many stats.
Rest in peace, Old
Goodbye,
Fashioned.
Old-fashioned.
Breachlight, best sidearm of all time.
Yeah.
So cool.
Don't delete that. Come on.
No, you have to.
Why?
You have
It's
to.
sunset.
I had to delete mine. You have to delete yours. Mine was actually
Survival
perfect. You're coming with.
Okay, hang on. You can't get rid of that anti-yoke though.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Do it right now. Right now.
That anti-yoke was everything to you.
It was. It really was. And then it sat here for 2 years unused. And I love you, Annie-Ope, but I'll see you on the other side.
Also,
me. Okay. We're almost done. We're almost done.
What's that astral? Why is that here? Gjerda? What is that? Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yurt already has a god roll,
I have a really
god roll
good
astral that you
I
could
didn't
get for
remember
literally
any of the
1
other
week.
I thought that one was not. I thought that one was also adept, and I was like really scared.
No.
Let's go look at all the non-sunset stuff, because the sunset stuff, honestly, who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, those are just random adepts or random assholes that are here for no reason.
I mean, maybe try to get snapshots.
Oh no!
Oh! I don't know why you did that.
My heart, it hurts.
This thing, it looks so cool. I remember getting this.
Yeah, why are you?
But it's a rapid.
It was like my first one.
They're sick. They feel really good.
Of all of the things you've shown me, I've cared the least about that one.
Yeah, that one didn't do anything for me.
I thought this thing looked cool.
Yeah, it's a great gun.
I just got rid of my Patrons of Lost Causes. I had a Vorpal roll and I had an explosive round, so they were so good, and I want them back.
I know.
got rid of mine.
This carried me through a lot of trials. With the,
I don't give a shit about that gun.
Yeah. This was the main Tatara
How
roll
dare you.
back in the day.
Oh, that's an F in the chat.
F.
Oh, ow, oh.
That hurts.
It's the.
This one's gonna hurt me.
That's the fool.
Oh, the kindled orc.
This one's gonna hurt.
If you don't care about sunset weapons, that all that tells me is that you're allowed to lie to yourself.
Well, like, I would care if I could still use them, but I can't use them in the activities I care about.
You can. There's many playlists.
Check out this one.
You're not getting rid of that, right? You're not
Okay,
getting rid
if
of that.
one of the playlists we're talking about, is like normal strike,
Why
then I
did
don't
you do
care.
that?
No, I'm talking about PvP. Those are all PvP.
Yeah.
Yeah. This thing is so cool. I love this.
Using weird shit in PvP is so much
that's
fun.
such a good parcel.
And you're losing all of that.
Oh, I mean, I still have my Anio, to be fair.
That hurts.
But like most, like the Tataria, I don't care about.
Perfect roll, and you just listen.
Yeah, but Tatara is one of Yurda's favorite guns, and to dismantle it is an act of self-destruction that I can't ignore.
I'm keeping a different Tatara, though. I am keeping another Tatara, but still.
But
Yurda, you just
that's not
deleted
opening.
perfect Iasuna for no fucking reason.
I have a
He had
different
another one.
perfect one. The okay,
There's just-
this thing was
I
so
don't know why you
fun.
didn't accept armor from the rule, honestly.
I love it.
Where's my harmony?
My
full Dan.
The fucking full Dan.
The
I
full Dan,
love this.
yeah.
I played with it in Control, and it was like some of the most fun I had
I'm
had.
deleting it for no reason.
Yeah, this
Okay.
not this roll, but actually maybe it was this
Net
one.
shade in general, yeah.
This one, I went flawless for the very first time in Trials of the Nine on PS4 with this gun, I think,
Wow.
or a very similar roll. So
Ooh.
that hurts.
Goodbye.
Okay, this was my very first Astral roll when like Rifled and Full Choke were the same thing, and I loved it so much.
Yeah,
It's
quick
awesome.
draw was just kind of made it.
And
so
Quick Draw, yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, friend. Oh, this one will bring some people some pain.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't care about Judgment, I'm sorry.
That's fair.
Exactly, they brought Highest Luna out, and it was like, alright, well, this gun exists.
Yeah.
Oh, this one.
This thing is sick.
Oh, those are so good.
That's beautiful.
Those breachlight.
A bite of the fox, where are you?
I already had some fun clips with
Let me
it.
look through my vault that's not big fucked.
43 zoom.
It's 43, yeah, very awkward.
Okay. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Hurts me.
Yeah,
You
why
use
did
that
you get rid of
so
the
much.
Succession?
Yeah,
Succession
I
sequence?
Yeah,
use
but
this.
okay.
The good bygones again.
But I love it. This
Yeah.
thing was
Back
everything to
interesting
me
little
back in the
posts.
day. It wasn't this roll, but I had a different roll that was the
Okay, to be fair, the sound on Bygones was the best pulse sound in the history of this video game.
In the ornament.
Absolutely.
Isn't that just a Claws of the Wolf sound?
I had that ivory ornament, and oh my god.
I'm not worried about that.
They're very easy to flinch, is kind of the problem.
Yeah.
They flinch you though, that's the thing.
That's really good though.
This thing was so cool.
Goodbye, Silicon.
I love Silicon.
Oh.
Yeah, but you can pull it.
You can pull it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it for so long.
This dust rock though. This dust rock
another
though.
43 zoom, right?
The dust rock.
This is gonna hurt. This is my
Full auto though.
My
full auto though.
Yeah.
Is this a
Full
double
auto
fiery dust
because
rock?
full auto used to be good.
Yeah,
it still
is.
is.
A double fiery dust rock though.
I probably spent
Why did you even use to
like
do that?
over 100 hours grinding for that, to be honest.
Yeah, we
maybe
ran
more.
that sector so many times.
Oh my god.
Same.
Maybe 200.
The drop rate was so bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not if you were on the EDZ.
Okay, the red Aachen going by, and I farmed this thing so
You can just pull it
much.
from collections though.
I don't.
the red one.
I don't think. No, not the energy one. I think is the.
Yeah, but
Or maybe you can now.
You can pull both. You can pull both.
Oh, okay.
You can pull both now, but you can't pull the
Oh,
red
that's
one.
good. This is a more of a trophy thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodbye, friend. It did take a while to get that, but that's okay. Okay. This.
why have we not gotten rid of the
Oh my
Hawkmoon
god. This thing.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
and side shot?
But oh my god, there is something about this. I used it for a little bit in Control, and it hits different.
I put a lot of hours on my good bone structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Okay. So I'm keeping Snapshot Opening Shot Eye of Soul.
Alright, kill the opening shot right in front of us. Do it right now. Hold yellow that shit.
That's oh my god.
Hold yellow that shit right now.
I'm gonna screenshot it.
Put this snap moving target.
Take it
in
out
there.
behind the barn. Let's go.
I can't. I
just
can't
imagine
do
the most
this.
awful YouTube thumbnail.
God damn, this is hard.
Delete the Wastelander actually. Who gives a shit about that thing?
What's the
That's
Wastelander?
fair.
You make a
rule?
decision later when you get another.
No, they
button.
can make
fuck
good
off.
Honestly, yeah. Just keep them
Yeah, you
both
don't
on
even
souls
need to
for
keep
now.
Yeah, I have plenty of other rangefinder guns.
Okay, book reader. Whatever you say.
Now,
Yep. Damn
this brings me great pain to say goodbye to, but I'm just gonna use Philo at all times anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the look of this and the sound of this is next level.
It does have
That,
a
and
feel.
honestly,
That's
auto
true.
loading is kind of really nice.
It's so good.
I don't think trophies are fine in this situation. A man
Well, but this
deleting
is-
his entire vault.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
too late now,
I'm-
but yeah.
I'd like to remind everybody that yes, he's got 6 open slots. And is still making these decisions.
I love you, Bone
Just
Chiller.
do it. You're to rip the band-aid off.
Oh.
Yeah, Bone Chiller's gotta go. Let's look at the Sojourner.
And this is gonna hurt some people.
Honestly, no. That one,
No,
I
I'm
wouldn't
fine
use
with
that.
that.
I would have deleted that on arrival, my dude.
Yeah, same.
Really?
There are
That one's
better
on
rolls.
site.
Right.
But,
Like,
don't get me wrong.
that would have. I wouldn't even like given that the old yeller. I would have looked. I would have like been having a conversation and eating something while holding F on that one. That would have been gone.
I would have actually like
It's
Andy
pretty
Toy
good,
Story 2
but
that
yeah.
shit. Like I don't want to play with you anymore.
Okay.
Let's take a look at this last.
It's funny. This was the thing that lasted, but
Why that one?
But who? But like you said, if you're
I'm
gonna
just-
learn an energy sniper, you're gonna learn.
if I'm
Photos
gonna
Orbit, so who
snipe, yeah,
cares?
exactly. Oh,
Alright,
what is
cut it.
this? Do you see these? How these are gray? Oh,
The heck?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
just happens sometimes. I don't know
Also,
why.
also, I mean, you can also pull duality from collections, so like.
yeah, but this
Yeah.
is
It's
my.
being actively used, which like
Yeah.
I guess that is something we do have to take into account.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't give a shit.
No, we don't have to give Yerda
I
any
can-
credit.
I
hope
can
y'all
get.
realize this,
I can
right?
get more of these later. Goodbye. Well,
Alright.
there it is,
Goodbye.
people.
Die right
We
now.
did
Hey,
it.
that's
Holy
right.
shit.
Unreal. Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in,
Ciao,
Adric.
Yerda.
Thank you.
I hope you're happy, Yerda.
I am.
I'm
Okay, but what did you actually keep as for builds and stuff?
So
What
I got
are the
my
builds?
Oath
but what- yeah.
Keepers.
Oh,
Teach
why
them.
the fuck are you
loadouts
keeping
and
Oak?
then-
What?
Got my Doomfang Pauldron.
Why aren't your Oath Keepers on your Hunter?
Because it's full on the arms. I like a lot of hunter
What do you
arms.
mean?
You're
Oh,
gonna
I
want to play some
finally-
Iron Banner and fill it back up with blues.
Yeah.
I feel
You're not considering
fucking
how I
free.
know you. I am not surprised by this.
Well, that's good.
Because everyone else is also like super duper minimalist, and it's amazing to me. So,
yeah. This feels really good, honestly. I love it.
Save the gunsmith part for next season's
what are you
refresh.
Oh, okay. Well, I was trying to get your props.
Actually going good.
Wow! Wait a minute!
It didn't have elemental capacitor.
Oh my.
Wait, what did you get rid of?
Wow, turning all that armor into things that I'm deleting is a weird feeling.
I'm just gonna fill my vault to 500 right now, just
spite you.
Just out of spite.
It's a skill.
All right. A weight has been lifted.
Oh, I'm glad you're happy.
That's what
My happiness was only possible through others' pain.
This is true.
Yeah, it's totally healthy.
To anybody who watches this later on YouTube, thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you had to witness this.
Seriously.
So as you can see, I actually did this, and I've been living with absolutely 0 items in my vault now for over a month, and it's actually felt totally fine, which is kind of nuts. Like, I haven't struggled to find something to play with for fun or find the right tool for a Grandmaster or Raid or Trials or Survival. I still have everything I need to both get things done and have fun. And I still feel like I have absolutely plenty to master and so much more to learn. Like Sorrow's Verse, for example, or any of the wide variety of cool exotic builds I made for myself that I'd always been wanting to try and never really had any time for. Now I feel like I can do that. It's been pretty weird to play the game this way, I'll be the first to admit, because Destiny wasn't designed to work this way. Destiny was designed to have a vault in it and a postmaster. It was designed for you to accumulate all the good items and have a huge variety of ways to play if you so choose, or if you have the space for it. But here's the weird part I realized about destroying all this stuff. 1, I didn't actually use like 90% of it, I just used the things I like, they work, and I'm happy with that. 2, if I did need something or feel like I wanted something, there was almost always a way to get that exact item or something very similar. And unless I wanted to get hyper specific in some playstyle, which is fine, I didn't really need anything in particular, and I could do perfectly well and have a ton of fun with just the gear in my backpack. The only thing forcing me to feel like I was missing out or unable to get the strange hyper specific loot I thought I needed to do well was me. It was me giving myself that pressure, not Bungie. And to be fair, the world giving that pressure as well. And finally, 3, this is the most important one, there is no quote-unquote end game in cleaning, purging, reaching purity, or whatever you want to call this ridiculous journey I went on. I think a lot of people who set out on these journeys to finally reach that end point, that goal, that pinnacle of something indescribable, like that point on the horizon that they feel is perfect, that is there if they just keep grinding, a lot of people don't realize that that doesn't actually exist. Here's what I mean. When we set out on the road to achieving something, a lot of us adapt this mindset of that if we just get through something, the future will finally be perfect. Whether that's grinding endlessly in a Grandmaster Nightfall to get your God Roll hand cannon you saw streamers talk about, or whether that's cleaning out all your possessions finally because you want to live a more minimal life and have a cleaner home, there isn't actually an end to any of this. Getting your God Roll or cleaning out your junk is not just something you attain once and then you're good to go forever. There is no ending. There will always be new things to get or new things to clean just because that's the way the world is. But that's okay. Destiny will inevitably change. New things will become powerful, metas will shift, and there will always be different tools for the job. And part of the fun for you will be acquiring them. What I don't want you to forget about is the reason you acquired them in the first place, which I think a massive portion of the gamer population has forgotten. And that's that you're playing these games and acquiring these items because they're supposed to be fun to use. You're supposed to use those items you get and have fun with them. That's the whole reason you got them, to use them. If you're not using them, then why get them? Why play the game at all? Why have the items at all? They may as well not exist then. The idea that one day you will finally have it all, or you will finally be happy if you just keep grinding, gritting your teeth, and getting through it is a fallacy. And it is the carrot on the stick that the systems around you use to keep you going far past what is reasonable. They promise you that if you just stick it out and keep grinding and hoarding and playing by their rules, that you will finally reach this point where you don't have to try anymore and you'll finally be free, happy, and finally have everything you need. Whether that's on the scale of your career or something as trivial as your items or vault in a video game. They're very similar concepts and promises, but in reality, that place on the horizon of where you're kind of just done and you have it all, you have it figured out, you're free and you don't have to try anymore, well, that place is something we think we can all reach, but it's purposefully designed to be just out of reach at all times because we let other people define that place for us. And those people defining those places are never going to let you in. If we define this place or these goals for ourselves, like what we want in life or what we want in a game, the goals suddenly become attainable and real, and we can finally rest, thrive, and exist in that peaceful place that I think we all crave. Before we move into what you can do to throw aside this carrot on the stick mentality, I really think it's important to mention that this isn't your fault, honey. It's okay. You didn't ask for the world to be this way. You didn't want to feel like peace was just out of reach, and it isn't. It's within reach. There's some massively, incomprehensibly powerful forces around you that just steep you in these ideas that you will never be enough, that there isn't enough to go around, that you have to accumulate as much as possible, and that if you somehow grit your teeth and grind long enough, you will get what you deserve, be at peace, and not have to work anymore. That's what the world would have you believe, because that's what keeps the world the same, and keeps the same people in charge, and keeps you down. So I just want to say that this isn't your fault. It's not. And I'm sorry we've all been put in this position. In many cases, we don't have a choice. Just surviving day to day feels like an incredible victory. Getting through all the meaningless paperwork, jumping through hoops, cleaning yourself, feeding yourself, moving your body once in a while. The list is endless and can feel insurmountable, to the point that if a human being just exists, I think that's pretty epic. So the desperation and fear and grasping at life as it hurtles by, this is nothing new for many of us. But here's the key turning point. You can totally change this. Whether it comes to your destiny vault, your home, your mind, whatever you want to investigate, accepting that the journey to peace or organization isn't just a one-stop shop is essential. Being happy with your things, your space, yourself, or your relationships isn't just something you suddenly get one day and then you're good and you can stop trying. These are lifelong things that you decide to adapt because it's worth being happy. You decide to clean your vault or your room because it's worth feeling good. And then that's something you decide to keep up with long term as a way of saying each day to yourself, I matter and I'm worth it. And you matter and you're worth it. When I finished writing this script, some friends pointed out I didn't yet have a section about how to start or how to maintain a lifestyle of living with less in Destiny or IRL, so here are just a few quick tips about how to get started and how to maintain. In Destiny, delete every single piece of armor that has a base total of less than 63 stat points. Pieces with low recovery should almost always be deleted. Forget about pieces with high intellect. Before this, head over to d2armorpicker.com and build yourself a few builds with the exotics you actually care to use because you like them. Then save the loadouts to Destiny Item Manager when you have the proper mods equipped. Once you've done this for every character, literally feel free to delete every other piece of armor. As for weapons, limit yourself to at most 2 of every weapon, ideally only 1. You just aren't going to ever use more than that. For your absolute favorite weapons of all time, you can allow yourself 3 copies at the very most, and for every weapon, ask yourself what its strengths are and how you want to play with it. Here are 2 examples. Let's say I absolutely love Eye of Soul and I have like 5 really good rolls. After narrowing it down to my few best rolls, I realized that if I'm ever going to use a kinetic sniper rifle in PvE, I'm just going to use Succession, so I let go of all my PvE Eye of Soul rolls because I know that I really only ever want to use Eye of Soul in PvP. So I narrow it down to 2 great PvP rolls, Snapshot and Opening Shot with high range for consistency, and Firmly Planted and Celerity for a fun high handling roll just to change it up a bit. And because one of them is Adept, if I ever want to use it in PvE, which is really unlikely, I still totally could by just throwing on a good magazine perk and the Adept Big Ones mod or something like that. And now I'm set with good Eye of Souls and I can delete all the other rolls. And if I ever accidentally get a roll that can replace one of them by having higher starting consistency or a better PvE/handling selection of perks, Then I can just delete the old one and replace it with the new. By doing this, I've created my 2 ideal scenarios for Eye of Soul usage in Destiny. 1, high range, and 2, high handling, at least one of which has a little bit of flexibility to PvE. To do this most effectively, you should explore all the perk options on d2gunsmith.com made by Dre so you know what you want. Now, whenever an Eye of Soul happens to come through my life, if I find it more accurately fulfills one of those 2 scenarios for me, I can replace the old ones with the new, and I'm set. By taking this more critical and realistic approach to your vault, letting go of nostalgia, and honestly, seriously asking yourself what you actually use, you can clear up so much space for yourself, which feels really good. Now, in the case of personal belongings, I'd recommend going 1 room at a time and limiting yourself to just a few bins or boxes. In my case, I'm only comfortable with having about 15 plastic bins at most between all rooms in my house, plus a few bags and boxes. I divide these up between rooms, so for instance, all my kitchen items must fit into 4 bins, all of my clothes and bedding must fit into 5, all my computer related things besides the PC itself must fit into 2 bins, and so on and so forth. Define how much storage you'll allow yourself for each room and be hard on yourself, and then attack 1 room at a time. Take out everything you have, actually hold it in your hand, and ask yourself when was the last time you used it. If it's been over a year, it's probably time to let it go. And if something else very easily fulfills its same use, like you have a different pan you use 99% of the time because it's just better, then let the other one go. Where you can, consider donating items to a local place, but don't give people trash. Just throw stuff in the trash if it's not usable by somebody else either. As a side note, one of the extremely important pieces of this puzzle for the real life side of things is buying nice things from sustainable sources that will actually last, so you aren't polluting the world. If you need something new, consider buying used instead, and whatever you get, try to buy things that will actually last a lifetime, and do your research to ensure this can be true. While it can be frustrating to see large corporations destroying the planet much faster than you can mitigate this through your actions, that's no excuse to start living carelessly and not doing what you can do. Once you've gotten to this place with your vault or your home, do not get new things for a while. Just sit with this amount of stuff for a while and see how you get by. It might feel a little weird at first, but get resourceful and see if you can actually be totally fine without your 6th Eye of Soul roll or your 3rd scratched up nonstick pan. If you start feeling the need for something new, identify what this thing is supposed to replace. For instance, if you know you really only ever want to use Heritage for your kinetic legendary slug shotgun, then anytime a new legendary slug comes along, ask yourself if it better fulfills the role Heritage is filling. If it does, consider letting Heritage go and get the new one. If it doesn't, consider not getting the new one. Treat items in your life, like clothing or tools or whatever else, in the same way. The goal here is knowing yourself and knowing what you use. If you can identify these specific use cases for your items, then you know the tools you need in your life even before you can see them. Once you can identify these item slots in your games or your life, it becomes way easier and more natural to let things come and go. I think getting to that elusive, peaceful place where you feel like you're good and you're set is about getting to a point where you're happy with what you have or what you've done and you feel like you know yourself. I think that is the key to that special place that a lot of us think is so far away, but is actually much closer. Knowing who you are and what you actually need. That is the true dream. That's that perfect moment where you have nothing weighing you down. That's what it is. That's the pure free moment that we crave, that we feel is unattainable until we work for 40 years. But you can have it right now, or at least a lot more sooner than 40 years, by just letting go of this unnatural idea that there is somehow pure happiness if you just wait forever and grind and grit your teeth as you get through it all. That isn't how it works, and you'll find yourself on the other side of all these years realizing that freedom doesn't exist at one point in the future. It exists as an opportunity at every single moment as you go through life. There is not an end destination where you finally have it figured all out and feel free and at peace. That end destination is here, right now, as something you can create and feel and relish every single day if you choose to. I'm not saying it's easy, I'm just saying it's worth it. If you feel this video has resonated with you thus far, I encourage you to start demanding better from the systems and the people around you. It is very easy to get duped into thinking that your experience in real life or a game has to be about accumulation for the sake of accumulation, never feeling satisfied, and never feeling like you can win even if you play by the rules. You don't have to do this. You can play by your own rules, define what happiness and success means to you, and be content with that alone. Within reason, of course. You can get rid of all your unused crap in your digital world and your analog world and start living in a lighter way that values the moment you're in now rather than a far-off place that's designed for you to never reach. You can take back control. Around you, there will always be people who hate this idea directly or subconsciously because they're benefiting from your pain or they've been convinced that the existing systems are holy, and they'll try to rain on your parade, but you can rise above it. Live with less, just with the things that truly matter to you, and let the rest go. I'm not saying this will be easy, I'm just saying it's worth a shot. You'll grow closer to yourself and to the things that really matter. It's worth it. As for Bungie and Destiny, I think we're seeing a lot of promising steps in the right direction, like weapon crafting. That's a big game changer. With weapon crafting, or at least highly targetable random loot, that definitely reduces the needless grinding that feels like it was designed to waste your time, and it allows you a lot more time to actually use items and enjoy them for their organically fun gameplay. So that's good, that helps, and I think it's great to see Bungie taking this huge step in the other direction away from randomness, because it shows they want their players to actually enjoy their time with their items and using them rather than the focus just being on acquiring those items. Now, if we look long term, I do think we still run the risk of being pushed into this place of constantly having old things replaced for no reason. I really hope in the future we see less emphasis placed on new just for the sake of it being new, and more emphasis placed on creating polished experiences where we can use our favorite items, whether they're old or new, and have a good time. I think in the future this also begs the question of where our vault space is headed. Will it increase, stay the same, or even decrease? Well, currently a big part of Destiny is collecting just because it's fun to collect, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun to gather treasures and complete a set. I get it. With your Destiny vault, I think if Bungie wants us to continue on the current trajectory of collecting things just for fun and accumulating a huge hoard of treasures just because it's fun to have plenty of options, then it is unavoidable that we need more vault space. It would be a ridiculous error to continue the game as it is now and not give people more vault space. However, here's where it gets interesting. If they wanted to change how we play this game, I could see keeping our vault space the same or even reducing our vault space being perfectly fine. Hear me out. If weapon crafting becomes robust enough that we really only need like one single copy of every gun we want to use, which I think would be absolutely awesome but very different, then we're probably fine with just 500 spaces or even less, and then we can be encouraged to keep only what matters to us. And the collecting aspect would still be there, like filling out every single possible perk slot on a weapon so you can select from any perk, which would show that you actually, truly, legitimately, like completely masterworked something in the most robust sense of that word. However, this calls into question what's going to happen with armor. If Bungie continues with the current armor mechanics where we just need some astronomically lucky RNG to accumulate enough high stat armor that it fits with all of our other pieces in beneficial ways to us, then we're screwed. This will inevitably make our vaults, even with 1,000 spaces, filled with armor, just in the off chance that it might fit with our other pieces in a better way for us and result in us achieving very few or zero wasted stat points in a stat spread that is also beneficial to us. The chances of stuff like that happening are ridiculously small, and so it just drives players to hoard every single high stat armor piece they have, and it causes bloat no matter what. So what we really need, more than weapon crafting, if we're going to stick with 500 vault spaces, is a new armor system where we can change stats at even more granular levels than intervals of 5 and 10. We need to be able to invest in our armor long term, just like we can with weapons, where we really are incentivized to really seriously sink our teeth into creating armor that is rich and detailed and personal, pieces that we can use for a lifetime. Again, redefining that word masterwork. If we can achieve this modularity and personality in armor just as we have begun to in weapons, I see an extremely bright and beautiful future for Destiny, one where 500 vault spaces is absolutely plenty. But here's the funny thing, it's inevitable I am not the first person to think of these things. I have played Destiny and Destiny 2 for thousands and thousands of hours, and I think about these games in my spare time because they're just that unique and fun. But for some people, it's their actual job and expertise to think about these things for hours and hours each day, and they're paid to come up with better ideas. So this armor rework or something similar, just like the weapon crafting rework, is coming. The huge workforce of people at Bungie are extremely smart, and there's a reason this massive population of players comes back to Destiny day after day over the course of years to keep playing. That's no accident. And it's no accident that powerful forces like Sony have started noticing this, which is one reason why Bungie was purchased by them. It's becoming clear to Destiny players and the rest of the world that Bungie has created a truly unique and compelling gem of a game here. Something that has never been done before, and it's getting better every single month. That's extremely exciting. As I write the conclusion of this video, it's New Year's Eve 2021 heading into 2022, and I'm sitting in the middle of nowhere in a forest in the United States. I'm in an old house that sits in a valley filled with a variety of historical buildings. It's a tourist destination that closed a while ago, but the family who owns the place and still lives here is friends with my family, so while I was home for winter vacation and they were away, they asked me to house sit for a little while. If there's anywhere that captures the magical and creepy vibe of the area I grew up in, it's valleys like this. Millions of years ago, when glaciers flattened this area, stretches of hard rock under the surface of the land prevented the glaciers from totally wiping it flat. Instead, this small little pocket of hills and valleys are slightly higher than their surroundings, so if you combine this landscape with the small town vibe, you really start to feel like you're living in a bubble on a prairie. It's hard to explain sometimes how the isolation of Middle America can feel magical and terrifying all at once, but when you blend this landscape with Scandinavian buildings and snow, darkness, beautiful summers, Americans on the far left and the far right, and the unique nature and geology of this area, it forms something truly one of a kind. I think this place is really unique, and parts of it or people in it do scare me, but all in all, it's special. The reason I wanted to share this with you is because of what a perfect metaphor this valley is for this video's concluding message, so bear with me. This valley is one where my family and their friend group would often gather for potlucks, picnics, harvest festivals, bonfires, whatever, so I have fond memories of running around here when I was younger, exploring the old buildings and the creek that runs through the valley, playing hide and seek or tag, enjoying good food, and just being around fire and people and music. As everyone grew up, people changed and went their own ways, and after many of the kids, like me and my brother, started moving away for school or work, or parents separated, well, throughout all of this community all naturally started gathering less. And that's okay, that's just how it goes. It doesn't reduce the beauty of these memories at all. New interests come and new lives come along, and we grow and create new families of our own. Now the couple who owns the place has closed the tourism portion of the valley. The historical buildings are slowly being deconstructed carefully and taken to museums or sold. And of that little community of families who gathered here years ago for all that fire and food and music, I'll be one of the last of them to ever see this place. I'll always look back on the memories here fondly. There's certainly a part of change that inevitably feels painful and terrifying, and that's alright, that's natural. As we're all flung into the future, I think it's wonderful to just hold the good memories for what they were, miss them and treasure them, and then to move on with our heads held high because we spent our time and it made us who we are. Letting these feelings both have space in your heart is really important, missing a good memory while at the very same time moving forward with bright eyes, ready to make more. But this is just a valley of memories now, and I think it's such a beautiful example for this video. It was here, empty and real, but it just didn't matter because people had moved on and changed and wanted to or needed to spend time on other things. It was basically like your Destiny vault. All these little treasures scattered throughout a valley in a house, just gathering dust. Each little treasure holds such special memories for us, or maybe slight promises that one day we may return to them, but we very rarely do. And then it doesn't really matter they exist because they sat in this little invisible box in your head within reach but never reached for. So that's why I think it's okay to let all these things go and just remember them for what they were and let them be that. Looking back on my process of cleaning my vault and my life over the past couple years, and just things changing a lot too, I really think this is a way that you decide to live. It's one big step you take at first, one big scary step of change, letting a huge amount of your things go, and then it's a new beginning and a new way of life where your goal is not accumulation but simplicity and peace. Your goal is the opposite of this boon the world places upon us to get and have as much as we can no matter what. It's no way to live. It's a habit that's been cultivated in humans for our entire history, and it's something we need to let go of. It isn't sustainable for the planet, it isn't sustainable for our lives, physically or mentally, and it's time we started letting go and living lightly. This shift in living has been remarkably freeing for me, and I really hope others can find something like this as well in whatever way works for them. I feel like my future is brighter because I was able to let go of so much, and now I have room. Now I can more effectively cherish the people, things, and moments in my life, and I'm really looking forward to it. One of the very last things on my cleaning list was my vault in Destiny, a perfect example of a bloating, dusty labyrinth that had no purpose. And I was so ready to let it all go. So I did, and I'm so glad I did. Thank you so much for watching. I realize this was an immensely long video, but I'm really proud of it. I hope you understand that none of this is me criticizing you or the people who make Destiny. It's a really great game with a really cool community. And while there are a few systems in Destiny that I personally had to remove myself from, which has made me happier, however you have fun is good and valid. Burn your vault down, fill it with 500 blue items, whatever you want to do. Just do it for yourself for fun. All I ask is that you look deeper, stay in touch with yourself, and live in the ways you want to live regardless of the pressures around you. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Okay, thanks again for your time today. I'm gonna go sleep for like a week now, and then afterwards probably play some Destiny. Love you. Bye-bye. Oh my god.
You can also probably make it go slightly faster. By like a gigabyte faster.
That's it.